home the sensation of being an overworked, dogged detective who's bashing their head against the wall to get some results.
Yeah, well, to quote the kids, I know that feel, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm starting to snatch. But thanks, Chanel Drag. All right, let's fucking do this.
Yep.
Shit. Oh, there it is.
Oh, you don't have a light gun? Shame.
No, it's not usable with this.
It's fictional. No,
Yeah.
just if you know body stealing robots in real life, that this game isn't referencing them.
Yeah, you hear that, Garland? No offense to any robot bitches in the audience.
Here's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah,
This
brother.
this is an evergreen message, frankly. It was
Yes.
written in Japanese for the first two releases of the game on the PC-88.
A mysterious explosion destroys the Chernobyl research facility near Moscow. Lucifer Alpha, a powerful biological
Real talk, that is one of the creepiest pictures of the game. It always bothered me.
It's very
creating a deadly
almost Hegelian.
Yeah.
Carried by the trade winds, Lucifer Alpha spreads throughout Eastern Europe and Eurasia, destroying 80% of the populace. Half of the world's people die. The greatest biohazard in history later becomes known simply as the catastrophe. But at this time, who could have possibly imagined that the ultimate biohazard wouldn't occur for another half-century? 50 years later, mankind faces its greatest crisis. The appearance of a mysterious android life form. Its purpose and origin are unknown. Is it a new form of weapon? Or perhaps an invasion from some other world? They appear during winter, killing humans and infiltrating society by taking the place of their victims. Employing an artificial skin, they can sweat and even bleed. Part organic, part machine, they're almost impossible to distinguish from those they kill. As they steal their victims' bodies in order to take their place, these mysterious invaders become known as Snatchers.
And they got the boomer attack.
They do.
Which I think is a direct reference. Also, no coincidence, much easier to animate than raising their arm to fire.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
I mean, the cityscape that they show in the next part is it's so bubblegum crisis that it's just awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I'm not gonna throw stones in this lovely glass house I have about people watching pop culture and going, "Oh, I want that, and a little bit of that" when they make something. I mean, if you're gonna reference something.
I mean, that's how you. That's
yeah.
It's not ripping off. It's homage. You just have to do it right.
Well, they're homaging very closely in some places.
Oh well.
Sure. Good for them.
The voice quality, like the music, yeah, but the voice quality, yeah, it is ridiculous.
Here's the thing. I'm as big a weeb as anyone. But like, there's a lot to consider. When it comes to ports coming to the West, I honestly believe that as an overall package, the Sega CD, which is there's not a Sega CD version in Japan, not really. This version, in terms of its music quality and overall presentation, I think it's actually the best.
Oh.
But the Western-only version is like, it's got a bit of everything. Now, I'll talk more about the voice actors in a bit, like whenever it's appropriate, because there's a lot to say. And the Japanese version, we're getting some absolute industry classics. Like, just for example, one of the side characters is Kikuko Inoue, who she's almost started the gentle Ara voice. You know, she's like Kasumi Tendo and like Bell Dandy and shit like that. She's in the Japanese version of this game. In fact, she's also the Japanese voice of the boss from
Oh,
Metal Gear
fuck.
Solid
Alright.
3, so she got range. But she's in this. We're talking about some real fucking modern titans. We're in the Japanese dub of this game, but the
Hey, Garland.
music, is its best. I've listened to every version of this game, and I think this is the best version of the soundtrack. I honestly do.
It sounds honestly great.
Yeah, it's the one that's closest to the record they made.
I
When
wonder,
they made the
did you?
Sega Saturn and PlayStation versions, they decided like, oh, we're going to do a remix of this tune, and they like emphasized the wrong notes. From my point of view, maybe it's nostalgia.
Could you have put?
Now,
Could you have put the Snatcher disc in a music player? Would that have worked?
on the PlayStation, yeah,
Oh shit!
maybe the Sega CD as well, but definitely the PlayStation.
All right.
But the PlayStation version of the soundtrack, I think, is inferior to this one.
All right. I'm a long way from the Philly.
How was
Let's not
work?
get ahead
Everything
of
okay?
ourselves.
Yeah.
Gillian,
And hey,
what is it?
the Sega
What's
CD
wrong?
version, only version with this
Jamie.
cutscene.
I've become a junker.
A junker? Gillian, but why?
Jamie, you know why. It's the only way we can regain our lost memories. Snatcher is the only word that keeps coming back every time we try to remember our pasts. I have to face them to find out why.
Yes, but I can sense that there is something terrible hidden in our past. And if we remember it, it will destroy us.
Jamie! I'm going now. Jamie!
What? I can't hear you.
Maybe this is on the Saturn and PlayStation versions as well. But this is the first time we saw this cutscene, I think. Also, the Sega Saturn version adds a really bad
Estimated age 31.
early CG
3
cutscene.
years ago, he and his wife Jamie Seed are taken into protective custody in the Siberian Neutral Zone by the 17th Siberian Investigative Force. Both Gillian and Jamie suffer from severe amnesia. Their memories of events prior to being picked up in Siberia lost in a mysterious mental fog. 2 years ago, after a vain attempt to rebuild their marriage, Jamie and Gillian separate. Following extensive special military training, Gillian is ordered to report to Neo-Kobe City as a junker, effective today.
I want to play a retro shooter. Visuals like this.
Right? It's worth a shot. So, Frozen...
Like that.
See, that is right out of Blade Runner, though, that tower.
Konami on
Omni building, yeah. Now, it says Junker Headquarters. I'm saying they have a floor on that building. Not that that entire building is Junker Headquarters, unless they have just a shitload of basement space. Because, as we're going to find out, Junker HQ employs, like, 5 guys. It's enough for a burger joint, not enough for an investigation agency.
I'll go to Junkerhead. Yeah, can I get a fucking
You know, the booth kind of looks like a kiosk, if I'm honest.
you know it does.
But yeah, in terms of the graphic quality, like the PC Engine, which came out before the PC Engine version, which came out before this one, that actually had 256 colors, whereas the Sega CD version only had 64. Which, through a little bit of clever work, they got up to 112, and they modified their palettes. Put them side by side, I honestly think this one looks better. I really do. So yeah, this is the meat and potatoes of it.
Just
Yeah,
the
you
equivalent
click
of
on
clicking
stuff,
on
you
stuff.
interact with it, you throw mud until something sticks. That is the Snatcher way. Not all of his observations are groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the voice acting is something that is, I think, and it's by modern standards, it is a little bit clunky compared to what we're used to these days. But I can't stress enough, like, this was 1994. This was before, like, Clancy Brown was gracing us in Crash Bandicoot. This is before Resident Evil or Silent Hill or any of that stuff. Like, this is a game port that came through in 1994, 1995. The quality of video game voice acting, like, I'm not sure I got any clear memories. Like, it would have been... It's before Duke Nukem.
Right.
Duke Nukem 3D, I should say. So, like, they essentially... But they actually... Like, in my case, and this is based on my own experiences while I was living there, it's okay, I've got a mousetrap to stick my hand into violently if I talk about myself too much. But, like, I think in the case of Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and Silent Hill, it's Silent Hill 2 at least, someone got the job because literally they were there. Like, it may astound you, but the guy who's voice acting James in Silent Hill 2 is not an actor. And, like, neither am I really, but I got a voice acting gig because, hey, you speak English, that's more or less it. And I think that's the way. I could be wrong. I'm convinced that's how Resident Evil went too.
To Junker headquarters effective today.
Oh, you're Mr. Seed. Please forgive me. My name is Mika Slayton. I'm the administrative assistant and operator here at Junker headquarters. Very pleased to meet you.
So there is some funny stuff in there. Yeah, it wouldn't be a Kojima game if you couldn't hit on everything. It was vaguely feminine. But, I mean, I'll talk about them individually at some stage, but, like, the people they got to voice this game, as far as I can tell, because the translation services were being done in the Chicago area, they just got this group of Chicago talent for the most part. Like, they're not all, like, full-tilt voice actors, but they were all, like, performers. Like, there's a comedian in there, there's, like, a radio announcer who did, like, radio plays, so that's, like, a form of acting and stuff like that. They're all sort of, like, workers, except for one who
there's the Bioroid.
Yeah, Bioroids. They were determined to get that into the port. There is one person who is voice acting in this game who is married to someone who runs a translation service company, but has no records of any other roles or acting or overall performance. I suspect you will spot them when they appear. And there's someone like the voice acting in here. The worst you can say for them, again, this is based on my own experience, they have a well-translated script, but as you'll hear a few times quite early on, they don't have the inflection. So, like, then they're not really playing off each other, I don't think. So someone's script will have, oh, you need to say, I see your point there. And they haven't got the inflection right, so they guess, and they say, I see your point there the way they think they should. And they just didn't do another take. So, well translated, and I honestly think well voice acted, but they don't have, they have the translation notes, they don't have the inflection that came with the original version, which will occasionally be an issue. Yes, Gillian is incredibly smooth with the ladies.
Yeah, I bet.
As anyone who uses the term "the ladies" always is.
Oh, God.
If ever that was a giveaway.
Mr. Seed?
Gillian's fine. You can call me Gillian, Mika.
Okay, Gillian. I'll open the main door and show you around headquarters.
Hey. First
Like-
Stonewall first Stonewall passed.
I like that little panel they got a little while ago.
Yeah, no, the little talk panels, something that started on the PC Engine version. Fun fact, the PC Engine version of this game, Kojima's first CD-ROM game.
Oh.
Yeah. I want to say, department this size, walking footpaths probably a bit much, but again, easy to animate.
Chief Cunningham, Gillian Seed is here. I brought him in as you
Oh,
requested.
this guy's voice is the best.
Thanks for coming, Seed. I'm Benson Cunningham, the Chief of Junker Operations.
Gillian Seed, I've been transferred here from the 17th Special Forces Division.
I've heard all about your special training in the military, Seed. I hope you'll put it to good use on your new assignment here. By the way, I understand you're suffering from amnesia. Any sign yet that your memory's coming back?
I'm afraid not. I still can't remember a thing from before the Army picked me up 3 years ago.
You're married, aren't you?
Yes, but we're separated now. She has amnesia as well, and without any memories between the two of us, I'm afraid there was very little to base a good relationship on.
I can see your point there.
I love Benson Cunningham's voice. He sounds like a guy who constantly just lost the steak eating competition. He's pushing himself away from the table. Yeah, but if I'd finished the whole thing, it would have been free. Bit of dialogue they had earlier is they mentioned that he is the big boss of Junker Operations and that he is ex-Foxhound.
Did they? Did I miss that?
Oh shit, maybe. There was a passing line, I think. He's also an ex-Olympic judo champion.
Olympic what champion?
Judo.
Judo. Okay.
Yeah.
Just gonna say that this monitor back here looks like honestly looks like a thin texture.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Again, the aesthetics of this game, I mean, I'd call them cyberpunk, and they are, but there's like that colorful sort where like everything's big flashy buttons. I love that.
The color palette reminds me of Commander Keen.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, the Snatcher up there.
I like that there's just technology on everything.
Yeah.
Like he's even got like stuff up to his chair, which I assume he's got like a Voight Kampf style machine, just like good to go. But I mean, he's also got a very tasteful classic painting with a space specially designed for it, I suppose, and what I assume to be inflatable furniture. And let me tell you, my first furniture ever was inflatable furniture, and I couldn't wait. I didn't buy a pump and I had to inflate a sofa. I was quite sore by the end of it.
Sofas are couches are a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's like
It's not that comfortable. Like, I feel like you'd slip off if you sat on that. Like, he's got hostile architecture in his office.
that one, yes, but like any given couch, it's a complete toss-up whether it's going to be comfortable or not. You can't even tell looking at it.
Another factor of this game, and it's not too much of an issue for the most part, is, again, unlike the Japanese version, they pulled from about 7 people, 6 of which had any training. The Japanese version had a bigger cast.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
The sofa is inflatable.
Oh god. Oh, there you go.
confirms it.
Props to him. To me, it's an aesthetic mismatch, but I think once you're the chief, you can do what you like.
Chaos System Technology? Are they saying I designed this chair? This fucking
Apparently, yeah.
What? What the fuck is Chaos System Technology?
Don't know. Is it like AI-generated furniture?
Oh god. No, please and thank you. Ask about the terms.
What I want to ask about is why he has a phone directory on his incredibly clean desk.
Is that what that is?
I don't know. He has all this technology that is only usable with his right arm, and then he has a book. Which he's either reading Japanese style, or is for the person sitting on the couch. as it's been pointed out before, Snatchers is always written in all capitals, a tradition I've tried to continue. It doesn't actually stand for anything, unlike Junker. But you always got to capitalize Snatcher.
Okay.
As someone would probably be well to point out, you could very well ask, what are you guys thinking doing a Let's Play of Snatcher? Snatcher, on a meta level, because, history buffs out there, was one of the first really well-received video Let's Plays. Because, Let's Plays up until a point had been screenshots. It was, you screenshotted the game and you wrote comments about it, like, picture by picture. There was a very successful Snatcher Let's Play that came out. But here's the thing, that was then, this is now, and I guarantee you're gonna hear some things you haven't never heard before. And just because someone's done doesn't mean it hasn't been done by us. Ah yes, the turbo cycle. That wasn't a very important translation difference. Because it's a three-wheeled spinner sort of vehicle, you would have seen it earlier. Now, because it's got 3 wheels, the Japanese team thought that the really cool name for it would be the tricycle. Which, it didn't occur to them because, of course, like, in Japanese, tricycle is sanrinsha. So, yeah.
Whoops.
They changed the turbo cycle so it doesn't sound like, you're Fisher pricing it around the place. I think it's still got 3 wheels, but yeah, it is a turbo cycle now.
Of course, there's a guy named Gibson.
Yes. The incredibly normally named John Jack Gibson. I guess it's Jean-Jacques.
Of course, we're called runners.
Yeah.
You mean like edge runners?
Yes, exactly that.
Hey, good thing I played Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Actually, a good game, in spite of everything.
Oh, yeah, no, look. My issue with it was that I didn't do enough research because I was trying to avoid the hype, and so in the end, I was expecting something very different. I was expecting more sort of choices, RPG elements type thing, I guess. Whereas what I got was big science fiction-y GTA Saints Row sort of event, which, honest to goodness, like once I hit the sweet spot where I broke it, it was actually really fun. Once you get the gorilla arms, the game just changes.
Yeah, for me that was being able to one-shot things with revolvers.
Yeah.
Oh, no joke. I killed what's his nuts. I'm blanking on the name right now. The full-body cyborg that killed Johnny.
Yeah. No, I'm forgetting his name as well.
I killed him with the fucking like Baran. Like the Soviet mega revolver that only holds one shot.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, I put one of those in his head. Fuck you.
Nice.
Johnny says hi.
But no, it's like I didn't have the time when I was making my own Snatcher game to like do all these sort of backgrounds. I used a lot of photographs, but I still tried to capture some of the feel, for lack of a better description. See how that goes, I guess. He's our ace runner. He's the best one we have. He's the only one we have until you joined. I don't know if being like the best person out of a team of 1 is much of a thing. There are actually 2 other runners. I forget their names. Sorry, there were 3. 2 are dead, and 1 is in a persistent vegetative state.
Oh, that's a good fucking sign.
Yeah, you're the new hire.
Oh, God. Oh, hey, Alpha.
But hey, the good news is, part of your Junker, what do you call it, equipment is apparently an absolutely bottomless fat wad of cash. So enjoy that. Once you've actually had, I don't know why he's not giving you your stuff.
I mean, I haven't exhausted every option here yet.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game. Because the disaster took place on
That
June
should be enough
6th.
to make your duties as a junker quite clear. This is your junker ID card. It will identify you as a junker. Carrying it allows you to exercise your special authority.
I see. Sort of like a police officer's badge, huh?
And here's some money. It's not much, but you'll need it to carry out your investigation.
Cash?
Credit cards aren't accepted in some regions of the city. You'll need this sooner or later.
Sounds like it's a rough place out there.
Go see Harry, the engineer. He's got your equipment ready for you.
I love that's a response to carrying around a big wad of cash. This is really inconvenient. Now, the Junker ID is sort of handy. You'd be surprised how little it actually comes in useful. It's one of the few things I'll sort of drop now. Is same as in the quest. I wouldn't recommend waving around your Junker ID too much. It's not exactly a get in everywhere free card.
I see.
Yeah, know with your investigation. It'd be a bit like trying to get into a nightclub and saying, "Hey, let me in. I'm a cop. I don't have a search warrant, but I am a cop," and seeing how everyone treats you at that point.
To save some states.
Oh, good idea. Good idea, especially with emulation.
Error, save the state.
But yeah, because the disaster took place in June 6th, 1996, I did a little research and saw if anything really important happened that day. Some people I haven't heard of. It was the death of a gold medal Japanese Olympic swimmer who won the 1500 back in 1932. But for what it's worth, on June 6th, 1996, Nobel Prize winning immunologist George Snell died. And you know, that's sort of relevant for a contagion killing 80% of the population, sure. That's all I could come up with. And the Japanese version, the disaster date was June 6th, 1991. They just had to wind all the years forward a bit for the Western release. He drinks on the job all the time, but he still has a job. The guy who fixes our vehicles and maintains all of our weapons, he's just wrong all the time. Oh, what a champ.
It's like all the lawyers have funny ears around here.
Now, for reasons that in my research I never discovered, that poster, and I think every other version, is sort of a more cartoony picture of Marilyn Monroe. Whereas in this version, I believe it's Madonna.
It did stick out, although I don't recognize what it was.
Yeah. Like it's in all the other versions, it's kind of it's like a forward-facing picture of Marilyn Monroe that's like sort of more in the art style instead of looking more sort of photo-ish. I love the aesthetics of this game.
Yeah.
So I can't. He's our ace runner. He's your owner. Except for the guy who just started. believe it or not, actually no, you probably would believe it. In the Japanese versions of this game, Gillian is worse. They've dialed him back a lot, the Western release. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm noticing now that that's a much older desk than Gary's.
It's a good way to work around some things, but you get a little bit more about Jean-Jacques later, and it all sort of ties together. It's consistent. He's basically a massive hipster, like everyone on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Everyone on TNG is a hipster.
Oh, and when it comes to what they want to recreate, there seems to be like massive gaps in their history. Like they all want to do stuff that, I mean, it makes sense because they want to do stuff that people watching the show will recognize. But there's like a few centuries in between them and us, but they never really want to do anything with those centuries. Now, you may have noticed that even though you're a Neo Kobe, so far everyone you've met or talked about has much more Western names.
I did notice that.
Yeah, it's one of the things that if you go into the computer, if you ever want to spend time, you could spend probably over an hour looking just through the Junker computer. But one of the things it explains is that with 80% of the population dying, basically every major city that was rebuilt after the catastrophe just became a huge melting pot.
Right.
And so, like, everyone these days is pretty much like mixed race and speaking all different sorts of languages and that sort of thing. The Mika Slayton, is half Japanese. She's half Japanese. Her bio says that she is half Japanese, half Jewish.
Oh, that's.
And well, I mean, she sort of dresses like Fran Drescher and kind of looks like Janine Melnitz. So, I mean, I want to say she's probably from Brooklyn, yeah.
Unfortunately, I do not know who either of those people
are. Janine's the one from Ghostbusters, and Fran Drescher's the girl from The Nanny, who I think technically is from Queens, but...
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Now, everyone in this game, to my money, sounds like they're from Chicago, and that's because they are. I love how, like, just, like, overdressed everything. Sorry, what?
I was just going to say, I like how there's a different response for each one when you choose to look at those things.
Yes. Gillian can be incredibly persistent in more ways than one. And fun fact, his persistence, it's difficult, but it can get him killed. Not by Mika, but...
What happens if you get a game over?
I guess you go back to your... Yeah, you go back to a save game, I guess.
How are you saving this moment? I don't know yet.
Oh. Shit, I don't know. Oh god, that just occurred to me. You do it from the menu, maybe? Oh, but I don't know how to get to the menu. That's some Kids Next Door style acronym. It's called Jordan in this version. It's called Galdy in every other version. Gaudy. I'm not sure why the difference, but I guess I like the name Jordan.
I guess it's like asking why Galley became a leader.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the Galley thing makes sense. You guys in Galatea, the statue became the life.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it checks out, but...
Alita's a nice name, but where'd they get that from?
Yeah, it's just one of those changes for change's sake, I guess. The turbo cycle thing I get. I guess they wanted to stand for something, and I don't know if Gaudi stood for anything. Now again, you can look up all your different... you can look up... unsurprisingly, you can look up Hideo Kojima on this computer.
Yeah.
And it will yes. You can look up Hideo Kojima, Neo Kobe. I don't know if it's in the computer, if it was in the manual that came with this. But like, all the junker gear that you have that you never use is mentioned in the manual. Like you have a special gum called Junker's Rush. You have a special belt called a Junker's Belt. Your coat is a Junker's coat. And they all do special things, but you never use them. So I guess that's an important thing actually. This game, when it was originally developed on the PC 088, and on the MSX too. In both cases, they didn't get the third chapter because basically Konami lost their patience with Kojima's ambition and just forced them to ship the game in its present state, which may sound familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have I heard that one before?
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, some of his ambitions were unrealistic. Well, two of the things he wanted to do was he wanted to have, because on the PC 88 it was on diskettes. So he wanted one of the diskettes to. He noticed that the diskettes got warm. He wanted one of them to have a message on a code on the disk that only showed up when it was a certain temperature. So it had to be in the machine for a little bit while, and then you'd get to the end of that chapter. It'd say change disks, and then when you popped that disk out, haha, there would be the code, which would have been awesome. And he wanted another disk, and this is the okay. He wanted another disk that once it got to a certain temperature to just smell like blood, to fuck with the player.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and so I mean I don't blame Konami for having no patience with that. But, yeah, the thing, again, where they're like, no, taking too long, out the door, in its, incredibly unfinished state, with the third chapter missing. Yeah. So...
Kojima's such a madman.
He is! He's a madman he's one of the ones that I basically support, because, I mean, on some level, and this is going to sound weird, I sympathize with his mindset. And also, you don't find out what you can do unless you try everything. He's not, restrained by rational thought.
Oh, Jesus, I actually have to type shit.
Yeah. And you can search Konami as well.
Is using Jordan necessary to progress? Or is it just for flavor?
Oh, yeah, it is at one point, because my memory's not good enough. Oh, you have to enter all as one thing. They said that. There can't be a space in between.
Yeah, alright.
God damn it. But no, there's a bit later on where you need to know a certain about someone. You need to know a certain amount about someone before they trust you. And because this is a creepy, invasive computer database, you can get all the information from the database to be like, oh yeah, I know you. Not as bad as it sounds.
Wait, what?
What? Oh man, did...
Search last.
Okay, I was sure it would work. I could have sworn it was in this version. That's the trouble. I can't apologize enough for this. There we go. I forget what that is. That man's a treasure. absolute madman.
Cheers, Mr. Goodyear.
Yeah. Oh. Shit, she took herself off the grid.
What's the chief's name? Cunningham?
Yeah. The name Cunningham actually may sound familiar to people who have kept up with Kojima's work. A character by the same name and similar appearance, just being of different race, appeared in Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. And a big dude with the same mustache. Okay. Yeah, super confused now. Okay. So, maybe for everyone else, do you have to enter the form? I have no idea.
I did something wrong.
Now, there is no place called Shinoden. They just meant Chernobyl.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They thought it would be a bit on the nose. It was a bit recent, which is
Yeah.
something they did even from the early versions, which, given other things they haven't held back on, it's quite tasteful of them to do that, really. Now, let's see. In the Japanese version of the game, the person voicing Gillian is someone you might have heard of. His name is Susumu Kawabe, but his professional name is Yusaku Yada. He is the Japanese version of Captain Brenton from Dominion, but more recently, he is Rod Rice from Shigeki no Kyojin, the accordion titan.
I love Dominion.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, as you can probably imagine, the Japanese voice actor for Gillian has much deeper voice.
Yeah.
And he frequently does dubbing work for Arnold Schwarzenegger and Samuel L. Jackson. So, weirdly enough, the first time I saw Commando was in Japan and was being overdubbed. And it was being overdubbed by Yusaku Yada. And he also went on to appear in other Kojima games because, again, in Portable Ops, he plays the pinhead-looking character called Python. Again, after hearing Yusaku Yada's voice, they thought the appropriate dubbing actor for that would be Dwight Schultz of A-Team and Chowder fame, so... It's one of the things that I altered a little bit in my version of, my approach to Snatcher was having every member of the team be a little bit more dynamic and involved. And, potentially some sort of agent. There's this real sense, like to an almost point-and-click RPG level, which on some level I suppose this is, that you're doing all the fucking work. Like all of it. It's like, hey guy who just started, do everything. Now, here's a fun thing. I actually got a bit of information, more relevant, on Gillian's English voice actor. He's still active.
Oh.
His name is Jeff Lipetin. I might probably mispronouncing that, but bear with me. This is probably one of his biggest roles, although he was in Red Faction, and he's just like a working... Oh, that's cool. He's a working actor. Like, he does a lot of voiceover work, does all these, like, commercials and stuff like that, and he teaches voice acting, he's written books on voice acting, he overall seems pretty grounded. He really loves baseball. Like, all of his tweets are about baseball. And the rest of his tweets are about pizza and being pro-union. So, he seems like a cool guy. And he's still working today and teaching today and stuff like that. I mean, he's been eating at the same pizza place for 4 decades, so... And all of his posting to be about the Sox. And hey, for what it's worth, for anyone who equates success with the amount of Twitter followers, Jeff has got like 203. I'm one of them. Like, he's been going this long. He's a working voice actor. I mean, like, he won't appear in the anime you've heard of, whatever, but he's always working on something. And he's got 203 followers. So, all account does not equal success. And he seems like a cool guy. I'm looking forward to see what he. I started following him. I think I'm gonna get a lot of posts about baseball, but I gotta tell you, I like his work. Like, if I ever get, like, you know, I can actually hire a voice actor money, I would make a role for him. I'll try not to reference this too much, but, like, for example, because my fantasy casting for Mike is Brandon Keener, I reckon Jeff Lippetton could fill those shoes.
Brandon
He sounds a bit like
Keener,
Garrus.
Garrus,
Yeah. I reckon Jeff could do it. A few years older, yeah. So hey, Jeff. If I ever get Jeff money, I'll call you.
Jeff.
I don't have Jeff money at the moment. Sega wanted to bring this... sorry, I said Sega, didn't I? That gives it away, but... Yeah. Sega, I can't just enough, like, when it came to all the adverts in Australia, they said it that way. It was only once the game started saying it, we were like, huh, that sounds weird. And hearing it mentioned in films, which honestly took a while. People didn't talk about video games and films for a bit there. But yeah, okay, so Sega went into... Sorry, I'll talk about this real quickly, for me. I'm not convinced anyone's pronouncing Sega correctly, and I don't blame them.
Oh, how is it supposed to be pronounced?
Well, that's the weird thing. It's sort of a weird contradiction, because, I mean, the spelling makes sense, because it's short for service games. There's the SE in service and the GA in games. So if you're saying it like the English way around, it would be sort of Serga or Sergei, I guess, which you wouldn't want to say. And in the Japanese pronunciation, it would be, let's see, it'd be Sabis Games, so it would be Sage. And that's Japanese for drop or lower. So no one's going to call their company that, or they're not going to pronounce it that way. So it works for... Look, Sega works, you just need to say that you're saying Service Games. It still works. But yeah.
That is not a large population.
That is not. God. But yeah, they're drawing home that there's like, that population is like, there's like 5% of this, 10% of that.
Yeah.
But no, Sega decided they wanted to import more sort of adult sort of games after how successful Lethal Enforcers was. And again, a light gun game. This game was a little bit different because you played it with like a controller, but the cool thing was if you played it with the light gun, then the light gun wasn't used most of the time. It literally like stayed by your side or like next to you in the second controller port. And just anytime you have to shoot something, you literally had to reach for your gun. Which is, it's kind of cool.
Was that intentional? Is that another trick?
I believe so. It would have been the same on the PC Engine, I think. Yeah, because Konami had their own light gun. So, yeah. The PC Engine was the last version that Kojima was involved with personally, but he'd done a lot of the groundwork up until that point. A lot of the things he wanted to be in there were in there. A lot of things got redone between the PC Engine and the Sega CD version, graphically speaking. There was a massive overhaul for the artist for the CD graphics specifically was Satoshi Yoshioka. He had to sort of redo like custom drawings using a program developed by Konami that you can't really get anymore to render the animations of the faces, because in the older versions, where the characters aren't voiced, they just talk where they are on the screen, very basically. And he commented that Gillian's was the most difficult to animate because he was the most nuanced character, with complicated expressions. And another advantage, to my mind, with the Sega CD version, is that they've... It depends on how you look at it, because in previous versions, well, any version from where you could actually see Gillian's face, he made like much wackier expressions. They still get like a little bit wacky sometimes, but like in the MSX2 version and the PC Engine version, he actually gets like big whoa like faces sometimes, and it's tonally inconsistent, even for a Kojima game. Oh, you got someone's phone number. Video phone number, I should say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna remember that.
Yeah, I can't remember if this is a game where you need a notepad or not. It might be. Oh, hey, Junker's Equipment. They'll talk about your special adrenaline gum. Oh, no, it doesn't? Never mind. Oh, it does. So I have 800 Celsius. Unfortunately, the Snatcher's mouth beam goes up to 900, so...
Oops.
Ah, well, the code's good for most things. Yeah, and you can release a taser from your belt. That will never come up. And hey, Warhammer fans, you got synth skin. Oh, yeah. You can see all these things that were in place for a much more complicated game. Like, you can see where he was going with some of this. Like, you know, if you use Junker's blood too often, it would probably affect your aim or something. And Junker's rush would, like, give you, like, bullet time, probably. I'm just going to tell you, this is some insider knowledge. There is no way that gum doesn't taste like grapefruit. If it doesn't tell you what flavor it is, in Japan, the flavor is grapefruit. Yeah, it's good for me. I like that, but if they don't mention the flavor, yeah. Well, it wasn't mine, but I had to learn to stop worrying and love the grapefruit. I mean, like that's to my mind, that's sort of what Pocari Sweat tastes a bit like. And if something just says fruits flavored or fruit flavored, that's the one they probably mean.
And even is Pocari Sweat, like a sports drink.
Yeah, it's specially designed to have everything in there, from its like minerals to sodium to the magnesium and whatnot, is meant to be like, if you lose 600 mils of sweat, drink Pocari Sweat is meant to give you exactly what you just lost from its hydration and mineral standpoint. That's the idea behind it. It's like sweat replacement, but grapefruit flavored. In my mind, it's what I imagine a health potion tasting like. Again, yeah, it's odd, but it is very slightly salty. Not as salty as you'd think, given that it's called Sweat, which is still not a great name for something. But I don't know, it's pretty good, and it is really refreshing. Like if you've been like out in the field or had like a massive workout or something, like I'm really, really susceptible to like psychosomatic effects, but I felt amazing.
It's just one of those the Soviet Union still exists stories.
Yes, I believe so. In all fairness, the original script, largely still translated, was written in 1988.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's not an absolutely evergreen game because it suggests for even a moment that Russia is some sort of problem. Benson Cunningham's voice actor is called Ray Van Steen, and I kind of love that because his name sounds like it's being said by Benson Cunningham, like Ray Van Steen. It just sort of sounds right.
Sounds like a stage name.
Well, for the longest time I thought it was because I couldn't find anything about the guy. But again, he doesn't do like a huge amount of what we would think of as like standard voice acting. But he first went on the air when he was 16 years old. He spent 4 years in the United States Air Force and was an instructor at Shepherd Air Force Base. And then he was there he was stationed in Germany, where he did the announcements for the American Forces Radio Network. And he's spent 4 decades in broadcasting, where he was on WLS, KAAM, and did commercials for Pillsbury, McDonald's, Kellogg's, all these really big names. But again, he was just like a worker. He tragically died in 2015, but that's why, again, you will go throughout this game going, is that meant to be the same person? I've heard this voice before. And that's just, they don't have that many people. And there's close to 3 hours of voice dialogue in this game, so a lot of people are doubling up. I think the only person who doesn't play 2 roles is the voice of the robot. They only play 1 role. Everyone else doubles up. Even Jeff. Honestly, with that in mind, some of them do a pretty good job. Even, some of them even fill the shoes of their Japanese counterpart in ways that you'll see later, like as effectively as their Japanese counterpart does. How familiar are you with your duties and the world you inhabit?
More than when I sat down on this computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I already clicked that. A lot in here. Jesus.
There is a huge amount in here. That's, again, if you want to listen to every recording or check every document, it's a very full game. It's downright immersive. Obviously, on the PC 88, there was not sophisticated sound. They attempted to do like the same. The music is largely unchanged. It's just been like refined, but the actual beats of it are very similar in every version. But there was no voice dialogue, and again, they didn't have like the heads at the bottom of the screen that would talk to you. So unfortunately, on the PC88 and the MSX2 versions, all the dialogue is done with like those little like speech blips. So like the girls are going like whenever they talk, and Cunningham's like.
So there's on top of there being robots running around killing and impersonating people, there's also a highly lethal SCD introduced among the population.
Yes, exactly.
Never heard about that part before.
Yeah.
That's just great. Fucking tastic.
I haven't been to Kobe that often, but I can tell you, I can imagine it looking this good in 2047. Because I mean, in 2007, it already looks pretty good. You know, give it 40 years. It has this weird distinction amongst major cities that, when it got hit by a massive and very tragic earthquake, when they rebuilt it, it wasn't built like other Japanese cities. Not just that its buildings were designed to be more earthquake-proof, but they like... Most cities in Japan, they've got much narrower, winding roads. There's a certain look to them. Kobe doesn't have that look. Not so much. Much wider roads. It looks... I mean, obviously, all the signage is still right, but it's a bit like being in... Fuck, I know it looks like San Diego or something. Like, it's cool. It's like, you get off the train from one city to another, it's like, huh? And the city just looks different. I never lived there, but I went there a couple of times and, shit, I'd go back. Great city. Very good grub. Not that I have a one-track mind or anything. I got a two-track. As you can probably gather by the overall look of the game, this was the first game where Kojima sat down with his artist, his chief artist, and I guess character designer, Tomiharu Kanishita, and said, I don't want you to design the characters like we're making a game. We need to design them like we're making an anime. And it's not as clear with the existing characters, although once I say it, you can sort of see it. You can probably see it anyways. But he said, like, this film that I just saw, Akira, and this comic I'm reading, Akira, I want you to make it look like that in terms of the character design. So you can see in, like, their facial proportions and, like, the eyes and nose shape and stuff like that. He literally said, Tomiharu, my man, make it look like Akira. Don't get us sued. And Tomiharu was like, yep, 10-4, boss.
No argument.
Yeah. So 2 versions came out in 88, then the PC Engine in 92, and then we get this version in 94, 95. What's up?
I gotta apologize in advance. Like, in an hour from now, I've forgotten everything I've just read or heard you say.
No, that's okay. Jeez.
There's a lot of info coming at me right now.
Oh, it's all good. Look, I'm going to apologize because I'm probably going to repeat myself at some point.
I mean, yeah, I do that.
Yeah. We're not professionals, but that's okay. I think if you ever want to wonder the cultural significance of Snatcher, because I mean, like, it's a game that's inspired by a bunch of things, but it's an ongoing effect. In terms of, like, games that influenced them, in terms of its aesthetics, in terms of its potential, a game that made them think and made them want to get into games, this game is significant to one Goichi Suda, Suda 5-1. He makes it as one of the most influential games in his life. And so, maybe we wouldn't have...
Suda cited this game as an influence?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We might not have, Killer 7 or No More Heroes.
Or Shadows of the Dam.
Yeah. Fact is, Suda loved Snatcher so much that a few years ago now, I think 6 years ago, Hideo Kojima and Goichi Suda actually worked together to make a little prequel adventure. Not an interactive one, but it was like a really, really high quality radio play that's set in the Snatcher universe. That is just like jam-packed with some of my favorite ever voice actors, including my boy Tomokazu Sugita.
Yeah, unfortunately, you are infinitely more knowledgeable about Japanese videos than I am.
That's alright. It started a long, long time ago. It's one of my clearer memories of being a really little kid. Is it being like 1990 or maybe... was it 89? No, it was 90 or 91. And my family were watching The Simpsons. And also, I would have been like 4 or 5 years old, maybe. And Frank Welker's name appeared on the credits. And my mum cheered. And she was like, yeah, fucking Frank Welker, right on. And I was like, huh? and she just sat me down and explained to me why Frank Welker was the man, or is the man. It's like, you don't understand. This guy is everywhere. You know those Transformers cartoons I taped? He's like half of them. And he does all these animal sounds. He's the best. And like, even my dad was a bit into voice acting. Like, we were watching like Beetlejuice or whatever. Again, I was only very young. And then like in Beetlejuice, the marriage celebrant came out. This guy with like a big stone head, who's like trying to do Beetlejuice's wedding. And my dad just leans over and says, "That guy's Astro Train." And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, the guy who voices Astro Train. He's also that guy." I was like, "Wow, cool." And I've just been like, just fucking obsessed with both English and Japanese voice chasing ever since. And it's gotten so easy these days. It's really nice. Some people say, "Oh, now everyone can do it." It's like, nope, don't care. It used to be really fucking hard.
I remember that. I remember one of the first discoveries I made with that. So here's a connection to Kojima. Peter Stillman.
Yeah.
And
Greg Eagles.
Yes, Greg Eagles. Greg Eagles voices Taurus in Interstate 76. My absolute favorite game.
Yeah.
He's also Grim.
Yes, he is Grim.
Yeah.
Yes.
And honestly, the Grim voice is, well, no, the Peter Stillman voice is close to Taurus, but
yeah,
it's hard to mistake him as Grim.
Yes.
And connecting segue. Interstate 76 runs on the same engine as Battlezone 98. Battlezone 98 has about 6 voice actors. One of them is fucking Steve Blue.
Holy shit.
Yes. It's
well, if you hire him, you get like 5 voices. You just think that everyone knows.
He's in both campaigns for one. Like he's an excitable corporal in the U.S. campaign, and he's the commanding officer in the Soviet campaign.
Cool.
He's the fucking Wikipedia page for Steve Bloom does not even mention Battlezone. And I think it may be his oldest video game credit.
Yeah, it would go back, hey. Where was Battlezone before or after Bloodlines?
Wait.
No, it's before. It's before. Like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
That's what I thought you meant. Let me see.
Because the thing, I'm being a dumbass here. I'm thinking like, oh, Bloodlines, that came out in 1998, right? And it's no way it came out in 1998.
No, that's
fucking
not right.
like,
That's not right.
No. It's probably like 2008 or something like that.
Isn't Bloodlines Source? No, Battlezone is definitely before Bloodlines.
Yeah. So yeah, probably.
And unrelated factoid. Battlezone, in addition to running on the same engine as Interstate 76, is also the same engine as MechWarrior 2 and at least the first Heavy Gear. I don't know about the second one. I never actually owned Heavy Gear 2.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I never rented it.
Yeah. Heavy Gear actually had live action fucking cutscenes.
Which I'm glad, honestly, used sparingly. I don't mind they're coming back sometimes. I kind of love they're a wonderful level of cheese.
Also, I'm having half of a brain flash right now. I think the commanding officer who's on screen in Heavy Gear is also a voice actor in something else that's relevant to our little
probably.
Here.
It's the way everything connects that I kind of adore.
But anyway, Heavy Gear, Interstate 76 had a soundtrack composed by the lead guitarist Third Eye Blind. But that's not here or there.
It's still cool though.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interstate 76 was also one of those PC games you could put in a music player and listen to the soundtrack. Which is one of those things. Which is one of the things I was thinking of when I asked if putting Snatcher in a music player would work.
Yeah.
I-76. No, I'm fucking it up again. Battlezone, MechWarrior, and Heavy Gear all have the same composer. Ji-Hoon Hwang.
All right.
How is that relevant? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
That's where my brain is right now.
It doesn't look. My mind has been like jumping around because, by way of example, when you, I want to say I have been listening. Sorry, as you were.
Here's a funny one. You mentioned Star Trek: The Next Generation earlier.
Yes.
The villain of Interstate 76, a corrupt businessman by the name of Antonio Malocchio, is voiced by one John Delancey.
Same as he did in Outlaws. Oh man, that guy gets around. I love it.
And his Malocchio voice is not really different from his Q voice.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, they hired him for a reason.
They hired him for that reason, I believe.
Yeah.
Interstate 76 was probably my first contact with John Delancey, actually.
It's weird how that goes.
And you don't know. You do not know playing Interstate 76 that he's a screen actor.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's one of these guys who's made the transition back and forth really well.
But aside from Delancey and Greg Eagles, I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head if anybody from Interstate 76 is in anything else. Like, I'd have to go look that up.
I don't know Interstate 76 that well at all, but I imagine it would probably blow my mind just based on some of the people you've mentioned. Like, I can't wait to find out who else.
I mean, I could fucking stream that.
Yeah, sure.
That is going to be a pain in the ass, though, because...
Emulation? Tricky, or...?
Well, here's the thing. There is a port from Good Old Games for Interstate 76 that worked at the time of the port's release, but it's got a weird wrapper and it doesn't run well on modern systems. So essentially the best way to run Interstate 76 is through a fucking Windows 95 virtual machine.
Jesus.
So I could stream that. That would be an experience.
Yeah.
Because
that would be an achievement in of itself.
Which is probably what I would have to do if I wanted to play Battlezone again, if Rebellion had not re-released. You can actually get Battlezone on Steam.
Yeah.
Of all things. But
the Steam version okay?
Yeah, it's an entire HD re-release.
Oh, okay.
With workshop support and everything. Like it's good, honestly. There are fan overhaul mods for the original game that are visually better.
Yeah.
But the redo version is completely passive.
Huh. Well, that's good. Because, I mean, it was one of the things that got me to actually download GZ Doom, was going, like, I'm going to play TNT Evolution and the Plutonia Experiment, and then playing them through Steam. And being really miserable.
Yeah.
So, I started to launch them through GZ Doom, at which point I had an amazing time.
Thank goodness you can open the Steam folder, and there's the lot.
Yeah.
That's how I played, when I bought the BFG edition Doom 3 a year ago, prior to refunding it because I'm sick of giving Bethesda money.
Yeah.
I took the they included a bonus episode for Doom 2 in the BFG edition called No Rest for the Living. That was originally made by Nerf Software, people who developed Resurrection of Evil expansion.
Oh, right. Cool.
That was originally included in the 2010 Xbox Live Arcade release of Doom 2.
Oh.
And they included that episode in the BFG edition.
Oh, nice.
So what happened was, right around the time Rage became available for pre-order in 2011, is when I bought the id Super Pack as it was at the time. So I got old Doom, old Quake, yada yada yada, Doom 3. So because I think I mentioned this on one of your streams recently. Because I owned a copy of Doom 3, the original Steam release, they gave me the BFG edition anyway. At no cost to me.
Right.
So not only did I take my money back from Bethesda, I also got the game in the bargain.
Hey, nice.
Fuck you, Todd Howard.
Yeah. I mean, on some level, the guy's a fool guy. And you can see how he cut his teeth, but sure.
Yeah. Eagle Jerusalem. That's quite a...
Isn't it? It's one of those word salad names. Either that or he's a very bad... like a really bad Foxhound Haitian. He got Sniper Wolf, this is Beagle Jerusalem. Which I can only assume is like Spider Jerusalem, except cuddlier.
That's Transmetropolitan, right? I haven't actually read it.
I'm
sorry.
No, rereading it, I'm like, huh. It's like it's not hitting as hard as it did when I first read it. It feels a little overdone, but still fun.
100%?
Not 100%. it's still fine. I think it's one of these things that suffers from, uh, you know that thing where something is actually not bad, but like people who read it are like, oh wow, he just like me for real, or like thinking that like every aspect of the character is admirable, not just like certain aspects that make them complicated and nuanced, but they're overall not a good person, which I think is in modern times getting called the Rick and Morty effect. Yeah.
I watched one episode of that show. One.
I
First.
think I watched like the first 3 seasons, and I enjoyed bits of it. I really did. But I couldn't
maybe,
keep at it.
maybe it'll turn out to be like Undertale, and it's just something like that is good, and the fans are just ruined it for me. Like
I'm gonna say that's probably
I didn't play Undertale
that's Homestuck for me.
until a friend literally bought it for me and said, "Just fucking play it." So I
Yeah,
played it. And
yeah.
It was very good.
It's gonna suffer really bad. Like I'm gonna tell you, like Rick and Morty is not gonna live up to any expectations at this point. Like watch it when you're like retired or whatever, and be like, oh yeah, I remember the 2015s.
It's
But
to quote the Deep Rock Woods, that reminds me of something I've been trying to forget.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But no, to give you an idea of how my brain's been working, I've been engaging this conversation, listening the whole time, but since you mentioned the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, that just made me think of Richard Horvitz.
Now,
And-
which one's Richard Horvitz?
He's Billy.
He's Billy. Okay.
Yeah, so he's like the voice of Zim. He's the voice of like
shit.
Alpha 5.
Yeah, no.
He's the voice of Alpha 5 from Power Rangers. He's like one of the Angry Beavers. I forget.
Oh, the little
which.
robot dude?
Yeah, from
Oh.
the from Power Rangers. Yeah,
Holy shit.
but
I can hear
there
that
was
now.
yeah, right. And you see him interviewed. He's not changing his voice much. He just kind of sounds
Oh,
like.
he just sounds like that.
But a game that I am uncommon fond of, but not just the reasons you'd expect, is Red Ninja. It does actually have some really fun core game mechanics. It's just got a difficulty wall. But one of the things I'll always remember about Red Ninja, besides the kind of cool, like, grappling hook blade weapon, is that not just your boss, but like 90% of your disposable enemies are all voiced by Richard Horvitz. And he's not changing his voice much. So, like, you attack an enemy and you cut them in half and they go, my legs! It's just like... It's weird. It's like everyone's Richard Horvitz in that game except the main character.
Reminds me how there's like maybe 6 dialogue lines for all of the human enemies in the first Mass Effect.
Yes! Oh god. Yeah, not everything ages particularly well. But no, voice acting rules. I love how things keep on connecting.
Yeah.
Like I obsess over Vampire the Masquerade. Good God, the Masquerade. Bloodlines, just because with where some of these voice actors are now, like the idea of getting that many people back together in one spot. I mean, it's possible, but man, I feel like we lucked out with that game. We got a treat. We got like Robin Atkin Downs when he was just getting started.
Robin Atkin Downs was in Bloodlines.
Yeah, you know, I think he's literally just the guy who works at the convenience store. The guy who's got the band A Bowl of Cereal. I think that's him.
It has been a minute.
Yeah. What does the exclamation mark mean? Yep, went away again. Never mind. But no, we got Robin Atkin Downs, Steve Blum, fucking Neil Ross a couple of times. Michael Goff, like the young Michael Goff, not the one from Batman.
Oh yeah, Michael Goff, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, he is everywhere now. Yeah, he's like half the soldiers in every Metal Gear game. Tying things together again.
One thing was fun was when me and my roommate were going over the voice cast for Biker Mice.
Oh yeah.
How many people in that are in other things?
I don't remember all of them, but I could have sworn, isn't one of them Rob Paulson?
Yeah, that's Throttle.
Yeah. I've met him. Ha.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's got time for everyone. He's got all these routines that everyone expects of him, and he never complains. Like everyone wants him to sing the fucking alphabet song? No, the Nations of the World song.
He's Yakko, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I ever meet him, I'm going to ask him to say "Still with" in time instead.
I like it.
Like, get animated.
The cool thing about him is just like he's obviously like he's had fans come to him for all sorts of things, and he's just like bothered. Remember, like if he says. If, like, a female fan, like, flirts with him, he says, "Hello, nurse," to them. The thing that caught me off guard is I approached him with, like, my copy of the Transformers universe, the old sort of Marvel thing where it's got all their, like, bios and pictures of the Transformers and whatever. And I got him to sign the... I forget this right. The Air Raid page? Wait, was it Air Raid? He was a couple of them, but he remembers his time on Transformers. And when he says, "Oh, yeah, I was... yeah, I'm going to say he was Air Raid." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was Air Raid." And I was like, "Yeah, you were Slingshot as well." And he just laughed into the Slingshot voice at me. I was like, that's cool. Because he hasn't done that recently, but he just snapped right back into it. And yeah, he just had so much patience with everyone, wanting him to like say the thing, sing the song, and he didn't look like he was under stress about it. He was just really cool.
Like, I always thought if I ever met Steve Bloom that, like, you know, everybody's going to ask him about Spike or Wolverine or whatever the fuck. I'm going to ask him if he remembers fucking Battlezone.
Yeah.
He probably does.
He might. You never know.
I suppose you never know. It's like, I actually did do that, something like that once. My dad took me to a Los Lobos show.
Oh, nice.
And I mentioned it the one time that they were on Mucha Lucha today. And the dude was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. That was fun."
That's one of the things. My favorite responses I've gotten from this like actors I've met just like in passing. I went to this event where you got to meet 3 Sopranos cast members. Like they were doing a talk. They were all really fucking funny. There was all this like behind the scenes talk and just generally being really hilarious guys. And I got a chance to talk to Michael Imperioli. And I was like, "By the way, you were really good in Too Tired to Die." And his response was, "I shit you not, get the fuck out of here. How have you seen that film? Ain't nobody seen that fucking film." And I was like, "Yeah, man, we got this TV channel called SBS in Australia. They play everything." He's like, "Get the fuck out of here." He was like so delighted, but like genuinely caught off guard.
Oh, looks like I'm finally done with the computer.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Cuts back and like, Mika's like losing her will to live and like shifting from one foot to the other.
Not even
I
like how we're an hour and a half into this and I haven't touched the goddamn jumper.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal. Try the shooting range. Now,
here we go.
Like Uatu the Watcher, I have sworn to mostly not interfere, but here's the time when I will. When you borrow her gun, I would caution you, strongly caution you, do as badly as you possibly can. Either do not shoot any targets, be really slow, or just shoot all the human ones. I need you to fuck this. I need you to bin this completely. I need you to make a dog's breakfast of this target practice. Because if you do a good job, every single shooting session in the game scales up accordingly. To the point where the final ones in the game are borderline impossible. And now, again, usually wouldn't interfere. But
thank you for the fucking warning.
It's one of the things the game does. If you like ace the shooting, then your next one is pretty hard. And by the end of the game, it's, yeah.
I'm going to call this save in the shooting range.
Yep. Just absolutely fuck it up. And, don't worry about her, I suspect, incredibly disparaging comments later. I mean, shit, Harry's allowed to be drunk at work, why can't you? Yeah. Come on, let me take a crack at it.
So just don't do anything.
Yep. Do just a terrible job. Maybe shoot the occasional human. It's up to you. So yeah, that some of the latest shooting sessions might still be tricky, but now they'll be survivable.
This is really fucking weird now that I think about it. As I was playing Doom 3 earlier, and
Right.
well, it's the BFG edition, so there's achievements. And one of the achievements is for collecting all of the PDAs in the game, right?
All right.
So here's the trick. Some of the PDAs can only be obtained by shooting NPCs and picking up PDAs from their cold dead bodies.
Huh? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to go ahead and not fucking do that.
Yeah. Okay. Also, sorry, I forget what it stands for. I know what you mean. To me, PDA still stands for Public Display of Affection.
You know, I wish.
For just a second there, I was like, collect all the PDAs and Doom. It's like, yeah, all right.
I fucking wish, except,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there aren't even any female NPCs in Doom 3 until the expansion.
Oh, yeah. Now I think about it, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Dr. McNeil from Resurrection People. She's mentioned.
Yeah.
That she was, luckily for her, not on Mars when the invasion happened.
There's one voiced by Grey Delisle as well, yeah.
I believe that's Elizabeth McNeil. Let me check.
I thought it was Chaser or something like that.
Oh, maybe it is Teresa Chaser. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. There's one female NPC in the original game. She's alive and begging for your help for a second before a lost soul explodes out of her unfortunate skull.
Right, yep, that's Grey Delisle.
Yeah,
Again,
okay.
Bloodlines, because she's the fucking crazy sisters.
I think Elizabeth McNeil is Jen Hale, actually.
Oh, well, that's also, again, we're getting back to Metal Gear.
You know, speaking people into fucking everything.
Yeah, yes.
Now,
good God.
Now,
I mean,
remind me, who was Jen Hale in Metal Gear?
She's Naomi Hunter.
Yes. Okay.
So she's long haul, fucking haul.
Yes. Holy shit. Almost as long as anybody else.
Yeah, pretty much, right up there.
Right. So, I guess we're supposed to see Harry.
Yeah, I think Harry's finally, got some coffee into him, put down his giant hip flask, staggered back to his fucking job. So here's the thing, do you think the officers are really far apart, or it's just a loop?
Harry's back.
Great to meet you. You're Gillian Seed, right?
Shit, I don't know.
Haven't
I
we
bet
met
it's a loop.
somewhere before?
No, I don't believe so.
Really? I guess I must be imagining things. I know.
All right, allow me to introduce the Navigator, which I designed especially for you. Hey, Metal Gear, get out here.
Your ears do not deceive you. You are hearing the theme of Tara from Metal Gear 1.
Look how tiny he is.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Pleased to meet you, Gillian. I am Metal Gear Mach 2. I am programmed to be your personal assistant.
Metal Gear? That's a pretty weird name.
Oh, he's cute.
Thank you.
I think he's turning red. I took his basic design and his name from the Metal Gear menace of the late 20th century. But quite unlike that Metal Gear, this one was designed for peaceful purposes.
Oh god, this game is on Sega CD.
Yeah.
Sega CD.
All right.
Sega shit.
God damn it.
You still don't own a Sega CD? You have seen the games, right? Wrong answer, man. Show 'em.
When they didn't use it in the commercial. I guess it came out too late.
Genesis does what Nintendo.
But two little things here. The way Metal Gear's reaction, I think, is good in both languages because again, they just had the script. In the original Japanese, for a start, Metal Gear has a much higher voice. And when Mika says, "Oh, I think it's cute," Metal Gear just sort of goes, "Ha," to themselves instead of going, "Thank you." And I know, I like both reactions.
He's just kind of
Yeah.
quietly pleased.
Yes. Here's the really fun thing.
This is a good response.
And if you've played Metal Gear Solid 4,
Yeah.
the design will be kind of familiar there as well. Yeah, it's basically
Yeah, looking like a gecko.
Mark II, and also the Metal Gear Mark IV that follows
Yeah,
you around,
little
like
roller,
Otacon talk.
Yeah.
It's just that it switches to a flat screen monitor.
Now, I remember you're not particularly knowledgeable about Battletech, but
No, not much.
this incarnation of Metal Gear and its various permutations bear more than a passing resemblance. Actually, it might be the other way around. To a particular battle mech, called the Raven,
Oh yeah.
which, coincidentally, the Raven's primary purpose is an electronic warfare platform.
Huh.
Like there's some
That's
mech,
kind of cool.
like there's mechs of all shapes and sizes. Some of them are like dedicated crawlers designed, like 100-ton death machines designed to slug it out with other mechs of equivalent weight.
Yeah. Robot
Ra-
Jock stuff.
The Raven is not one of those.
No.
The Raven is a tiny little chicken-legged, 25 tons, I think, tops.
Yeah.
And of course, like the Battletech future is like a future where technology has regressed. Like certain things have become lost technology. Like there was a singular interstellar government that collapsed in the wake of a horrific assassination and usurpation of like the central throne.
All right.
And basically, the next several centuries were spent warring over who got to be the next First Order of Starleague.
Huh.
And
That's cool.
Battletech is an entirely, for one thing, there's no aliens. It's an entirely human-centric narrative.
Good.
And it's all about political intrigue and mercenary work, and as you said, going to war with the resources you've got. Everybody's always trying to win battles with the minimum amount of expended resources and personnel. There's
probably should be. I mean,
there's interstellar treaties essentially banning total war. Like you're not allowed to shell civilian sectors for no reason, for example. And you're not allowed to nuke anybody. Because if you do, basically what all that's going to accomplish is uniting all of the other interstellar governments against you.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Of course, nobody told the nuke happy Torian Concordat that, but that's one of the smaller periphery states, and they don't have to do that. There's 4 major governments and a number of smaller ones in the outlying star systems.
Yeah. With
Earth smack in the middle. There's the Earth Covenant still exists. There's a tiny little, like it's its own little country.
Oh, okay,
and
that's cool, though.
and that's basically all that's left of the original Star League before it's splintered into the 4 major houses and smaller governments.
There's a lot of lore there.
Battletech has there's almost as much as Warhammer. Battletech has a huge.
Gosh. I think Warhammer cheated a little bit by cribbing from Dune quite so much.
But I mean, maybe not as much as Warhammer, but Battletech is one of those old, like 80s era established science fiction properties.
Yeah.
Like it started as a tabletop game, and like Warhammer, it became a multi-media, multi-genre franchise.
Yes. I don't know if I have this right, but there's like a few mech designs that have appeared in other things, but because they got sort of like, oh yeah, you can use that. They're also in Battletech.
The infamous Unseen. So
yeah.
the early source books for Battletech, a number of designs were lifted whole cloth from 80s anime.
Yes.
Famously, the Valkyries from Robotech.
Yeah.
I
thought so.
Became the Wasp Lamb, which stands for Land Air Mech.
All right.
They have the transformation function in Battletech. Like it's just a Valkyrie. They just gave it a different. They gave it a different name, and they gave it a stat block so that you could use it in their tabletop game.
Open source mechs.
Yes, except no. So here's what happened, and it's not even like there wasn't even any kind of conflict between Fossa Corp and the original creators of these shows, because what happened was the legal conflict was with Harmony Gold. It's because of fucking Robotech.
Jesus.
Harmony Gold said that Fossa could not use those designs. There's the Valkyrie from Macross. There's there's something for Dugram. There's something from Tomes, I think. Even there's a couple shows. Southern Cross, another one. Like the Warhammer mech was one of the Unseen. The Marauder.
Yeah.
There's a couple, but I think the Rifleman might be one of them. I think the Rifleman was from Dugan or something. But so what happened was the stat blocks for these mechs were in the source books all through the intervening years, but they could not visually depict the Unseen mechs, hence the name, in any official Battletech material.
Right.
And this went on for decades. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
They only settled that shit in I think the last 10 years, which is why mechs like the Marauder and the Rifleman are in MechWarrior Online and MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries.
You can see how they'd be hype about it.
Because Piranha, in conjunction with Fossa, redesigned the entire mech lineup for a new generation. That's why the mechs in Online and 5 look so different.
Yeah.
Like they're still recognizably like, oh, that's a Marauder. Oh, that's a Timberwolf. Oh, that's an Atlas. You can't fucking you know the Atlas. That's the one with the skull head. Everybody knows. Yeah, everybody knows the Atlas.
The Atlas is the one that I'm currently learning to draw.
Oh, shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got a request for it. That was the puzzling thing.
The Atlas is the poster boy.
Yeah.
Like, and in the games, that is the end game mech.
Mm.
If you have an Atlas, and mind you, not just an Atlas, but you equip it right and you have a decent team, probably 3 other Atlases on your Lance. Let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
You're set to finish the campaign in whatever MechWarrior game you're playing.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Huh.
You need an Atlas, you need some big guns, and you need some brass balls. But that's all you need. Alternatively, a Daishin, as the Interstate call it. I know it as the Direwolf, because here's the weird part. There is another major group in Battletech, clans, who are descended from the military of the Star League.
Right.
Yeah, whose commanding officer, Alexander Kerensky, took them on an exodus from intersphere space when it became obvious that not only would a new first lord not be chosen in the aftermath of the Ameris coup, but that none of the successor states were worthy of the title. at least in Kerensky's eyes. So Kerensky took his surviving military forces and fled into deep space.
Right.
And returned some 200 years later, I think it is, as a genetically engineered warrior society bent on reconquering the inner sphere and reestablishing the Stargate.
Huh.
Except it really didn't play out that way.
Oh, jeez.
All
that planning.
The funny thing is, I think in another 2 centuries, the Wolf Clan actually does make it to Earth and reestablish the Star League. But that's beyond the scope of most of the fiction written for the setting.
Yeah.
Like, the vast majority of Battletech stuff covers the Secession Wars, like before the clans even showed up. And then it's like the other big chunk is after the clans showed up, like their attempts to conquer the Inner Sphere, and their difficulties as a result of the Inner Sphere, being the wily non-clanners that they are, because the clans, being genetically engineered super warriors, also behold themselves to a stringent warrior code, which gets exploited ruthlessly by the Inner Sphere. The Inner Sphere basically used the clan's honor system against them and basically pinned them into a corner. Like, for example, when the clans attack a planet with the intent to conquer it, they have to announce it by their laws and declare what forces they will be using in the attempt.
That sounds very modern of them.
And the defenders therefore have the right to bid against them.
Huh. Like an auction.
Yes. Which means that the Inner Sphere exploited this and got the clans to attack with an insufficient amount of forces necessary to carry out the action they were intending. And basically, and through that and a combination of dirty tactics, like the clans were not very fond of artillery, for example.
Yeah.
Essentially decimated the tactically and martially superior clans.
Huh.
The result of which being that rather than reconquering the Inner Sphere, they took a pizza-shaped slice of maybe an eighth of it when all was said and done.
Pizza is very relevant.
Which
as we will find out.
Yeah, which sucks for the people who were displaced from the planets the clans actually conquered. But
yeah,
that's another story.
It is.
Anyway, I've got really off track.
No, it's okay. Look, it's one of these things where I think that's we need to accept right now that we are both gonna be filling space in this game, because it's a lot of it's more like it's like data checking.
Okay, Schnaudrad, yes, there are aliens in Battletech, but they show up in one novel that nobody likes to talk about. It's called Fun.
Let's see.
There's
Credit to them. If I don't know if it's intentional or not, but when they drew Harry, they really captured both the expression and the pose of no, I'm not drunk, I'm fine. Like that, like the way he's shifting his weight, the way he's trying really hard to look like he's paying attention.
He's leaned over pretty far.
Yeah, I know that look. I've looked that look.
You've looked that look.
I want to say there's like a tiny bit of Ed 209 in that design as well, which wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised if. Here's a funny thing. I was about to mention Battletech, which technically has nothing to do with Battletech.
Yeah.
Because Battletech is Earth's.
Oh, Battletech, Metaltech, and MechWarrior are all separate, right?
MechWarrior is the PC game series of Battletech. Those are related.
Right. Okay, that's cool because I've actually played those when I was a kid. I got a joystick for it and everything.
Oh yeah, which one?
That's the thing. I feel like it was Mech Warrior 2.
There was a PS1 version of MechWarrior 2.
Right. I played
It's
it on
actually,
the PC though. It wasn't at my place. It was at a friend's place.
must have actually been MechWarrior 2 then.
And
Which
I
had
remember thinking I was moving really slowly, and then I died.
Yeah, that's how that game starts.
Yeah.
MechWarrior 2 is fucking hard. Jesus. Yeah, MechWarrior 2 was PC. It had an expansion and a standalone sort of expansion sequel thing, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, which is where they got that subtitle from. Like there was later a MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries and a MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, and those are all technically different games.
Weird thing is, my mech game when I was a kid was Armored Core, made by the now famously difficult-making game From Software people.
Yeah,
and Armored Core was actually pretty approachable and very customizable.
I rented Last Raven once, and it pushed my shit in. The first Armored Core I finished was Full Answer on the 360.
Oh, right. I started a lot sooner than that. I think it was on the PlayStation 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And essentially, if you got the mecha with the tank treads, like you were a fucking chopping mall robot, you were fine.
Yeah, kind of come to think of it, that's how Chromehounds played out too.
Yeah.
But Battletech was a different mech simulator, basically intended as a competitor to MechWarrior. So the Earth Siege 2, Starsiege, and then that mutated into the Tribes games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the first Tribes was called Starsiege Tribes. But but then the later Tribes games dropped the Starsiege part entirely. Like,
yeah.
I'm willing to bet that most people playing Tribes Ascend, when that was still listed on Steam, did not know that they were playing a Battletech game, technically.
No, I don't think it would have occurred to them. It's not that sort of thing.
Like, if you know where to look, like the Children of Phoenix logo is on one of the maps in the Tribes Ascend. And it's like, but like you wouldn't know looking at that's lore significant.
No.
I remember I was actually trying out Tribes Ascend at PAX before it came out. And I asked
I've never been to PAX.
I asked the devs to their faces, if the Earth Empire would maybe make an appearance. Because at that point, the Empire hadn't been seen since Tribes of Vengeance, which is kind of the black sheep of the series.
Yeah.
And before that, they were last seen in Starsiege. And he straight up said probably not. And lo and behold, they did. In fact, Ascend only has the diamond sword and the bloody tribes. It actually has only half the tribes of the earlier tribes. The Children of the Phoenix and the Starwolf are nowhere to be seen. I think they're mentioned, like you can fucking buy a skin, and the dude's wearing like a Phoenix belt.
So like a little bit of recognition, a slight hat tip, if you will.
Yeah, just the kind of hat tip that is all you get from Western devs.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So anyways, you got your navigator now.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, my point was the mechs in Battletech look very much like Ed 2 in hindsight.
Oh, good.
I'm
down with that design.
That was the reason for that.
Hey, look, when you see the actual mech combat sort of that they're doing it like IRL, it seems to be the way to actually go. It's somewhere between like Ed 209 with like honestly a bit of Mech Warrior to it.
I mean, I love especially the newer designs. They're just the extremely gritty, like wasted future look.
Oh god, yeah. It's one of the things I liked about the Dune film was just how chunky all the tech was.
Wait,
it's like, this has been used.
How much storage did they say Metal Gear had? I was only half reading. What? Rex.
Okay, like whatever it is.
Rex, help me out here.
Okay, I guess Metal Gear's bigger than we thought.
5 liters. I thought they meant liters.
But they can hold 40 liters of something. Okay, so I've been imagining Metal Gear as the wrong size. I guess Metal Gear is probably the size of like an old-timey vacuum cleaner. Well, not old-timey, but like the capsule part. Maybe? I don't know. Ask for your weapon. Is a very slightly fun thing regarding, it's only in the Japanese version, but for what it's worth, Gillian's
here we
voice
go.
actor. Oh, what did we got?
Here's how you save. Talk to Metal Gear.
Oh, that's right. She's like your Rosemary. I don't know if Metal Gear is meant to be one or the other, but in both versions, Metal Gear is voiced by a woman.
Oh, actually,
I think Metal Gear is meant to basically be like a male-coded robot, but I don't know.
that sounded male to me. Voice actor.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's voice acted by. It's slightly modified. She just has a slightly deep voice, it's quite authoritative. It's Lucy Childs, is the voice actor for. Yeah, Lucy Childs did train as an actor and did like some stage acting. These days, she's actually a very successful literary agent, having represented Francis Sherwood and Peter Charles Melman, who I haven't read any of their stuff, but I know their names. She specializes in mystery and historical fiction, but has no interest in science fiction or horror, presumably getting all she could handle when she was in this game. She makes a special note of mentioning she doesn't want to be a literary agent for any self-help books.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
that's where Lucy Childs is at now. In the Japanese version, Metal Gear is voiced by someone who I would consider to be, on some level, a voice acting legend, which is Mami Koyama,
Oh, that's right.
who was the voice of Kei from Akira.
This is your
Whoa.
blaster, the official weapon of a junker. It's got full user feedback circuitry, adjusting itself to your reaction time. In other words, it's
Is that a
just
video
as good
and
as you are.
sound out of sync?
What
It
do you
might be.
think?
Oh,
Here, see how she
I'm
feels.
looking at the wrong screen.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Oh shit. That's a serious looking gun.
Unbelievably light.
Yeah.
You bet it is. This ain't one of those ray guns the Army uses. She's put together with the latest carbon polymers and ceramics, not affected by heat one bit. And her ergonomic design optimizes both functionality and firepower. Well, what do you think, Gillian?
I'll take it.
Like you have a choice, Gillian. But no, Metal Gear is voiced by... She does Kei's voice in Akira, but she's also, to give you an idea of her range, she's Balalaika from Black Lagoon. I realize that's more of a modern anime, but the point is that Balalaika has a really deep voice, and that Metal Gear does not.
Fortunately, I only saw the first episode of Black Lagoon.
Black Lagoon is what I would put into the guilty pleasure. I love its aesthetics and its very basic action. It's sort of like a reverse Tarantino effect, where it's someone who's Japanese but really, really likes Western culture and just sort of like very ham-fistedly trying to reference it. And the fun thing is that Mami Koyama, amongst her very long and illustrious career, one of the characters she's voiced
I have a video phone
is...
call from Jean-Jacques Gibson coming
I'll
in.
tell you later, you have a phone call.
Junker HQ, this is Gibson. I've cornered a probable male snatcher. I'm in the abandoned factory in the M District. Request immediate backup.
Gillian, that means you. You better head out right away. Jean needs your help.
We must hurry. We'll use a turbocycle to travel to the scene.
Be careful, Gillian.
This is a turbocycle, specially designed for junker use. In addition to three-wheeled ground travel, it is capable of hovering and high-speed flight. The vehicle is also VTOL capable, so takeoffs and landings in narrow areas present no difficulty.
A flying tricycle, huh? I just came in one of these things.
We have been assigned this vehicle for use in our investigations.
I will say it's a cool vehicle. It's borrowing a lot from the Spinner, obviously, but I like what they've done with it.
It's very Steve Jackson's Car Wars.
It is, actually.
Like it's the quintessential, like what people in the 80s thought cars in the future would look like.
And I gotta live with you, I'm pissed that they don't.
Yeah, It's fair.
It's literally the thing that made me make my own little Snatcher quest, was looking at 1980s future concept car dashboards and thinking, God damn it, why doesn't my car look like that? This is the future. So it literally went from there. I saw like a cool old dashboard and decided I wanted to use it in something.
You know what I love is
What's that?
the fucking the cars in the Mario Brothers movie. Like just electric grid cars gone horribly wrong.
Yes.
Like this is not a society where they develop electric cars as like the way of the future. This is a society that developed electric cars because they have no gas. Like,
yeah,
this was the only way to keep people moving, was to set up a shoddy electric unit and put these like overtuned exposed transistors in their cars with these like trolley mounts on, these like trolley connector mounts on top, so they can stay on the grid.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's like that one taxi game. Uses the same premise.
Yeah, motherfucking Quarantine.
Quarantine, thank you.
Yeah, it's like if you go off the road, you're on battery power.
Yeah, because I mean, what is public transport, honestly? What is infrastructure?
Yeah, let's go ahead and put a behavior-altering chemical in the water supply. That'll go well.
It's like how in zombie films, no one ever fucking remembers that bicycles exist.
Oh yeah. Shit. What? Fuck, they got me with that one. Huh? What? Huh? Nothing. What?
I didn't do anything.
You didn't do it?
It wasn't me. If it was me, you'd never know. Fuck, the random.
Shit. Right. Turbos.
You don't need to. The good news is you don't have to check your tires. This isn't Police Quest.
Check my what? Oh, the tires.
Yeah, there's like some versions of Police Quest where if you don't check all 4 of your tires, then when you do the driving segment, you get a flat.
Oh no.
That's Sierra though, and like I know everyone says this now, but like on some level, fuck Sierra and fuck their entire fucking game design.
You know what? At some level, yes, fuck Sierra.
They're important, but fuck.
Goddamn. It looks like I'm getting some lag on the stream. Still coming.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it leveled out.
All right, good.
Chad, have you noticed any issues? Bob couldn't put a scratch on it.
Bomb's a pretty broad spectrum term.
No, I was just, have you ever seen the 90s American Speed Racer cartoon?
No, I have not.
It's pure unadulterated cheese, but I love it.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
It also only ran for a season.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it came here.
And it was syndicated. It was massively syndicated in Russia.
Okay.
Extremely popular there. But it had this. I unironically loved the theme song of that show. It's total butt rock. I adore it.
Nothing wrong with that.
They made Sparky sound like not quite like a surfer dude, but yeah, this kind of inflection to his voice. Like that.
Oh right. Well, sometimes
like,
you just
if you got... Speed, you should have some Mr. Wick Chow. Really get your motor going. Like it sounds like that.
I love it. Well, you get some of that in this game. Is what happens if you've got like one person having to voice like 3 or 4 characters. Yeah. Like the person who voices your wife in this voices like one other character, and she's disguising her voice really well. But it's an optional conversation, and I would take the option not to, because fuck, it is hideous. She's making her voice as high and as scratchy as she possibly can. I mean, sure enough, she's hidden her voice really well, but... And sure enough, there is actually Appropriately enough, it's not used incorrectly, but someone who's voicing a main character in this game voices a side character and puts on a surfer dude voice for it. The fun thing is, although it was often for different versions of the show...
Oh, look at this.
Yeah,
Now, this
that
is
rules. Yeah. It's one of the things that you almost never actually do it yourself. Like, for the most part, Metal Gear pilots your turbo cycle for you.
Now departing for the abandoned factory.
It's like the New Hope arcade game.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember that.
Look at that. It's the fucking targeting computer for the Death Star fight.
Yeah.
Day on the job, and now this. Ace Junker Gibson is cornered a suspected...
Real
snatcher.
talk, to me, Jeff Lefesson sounds a lot like fucking Mike Nelson from MSTGK. Oh, good. Sorry. With a lot of emulators, that's where the game hangs.
Oh, jeez, okay.
So I was on one ass cheek for a second there, but everything seems to be fine.
You go ahead and save, like the other kind of save.
Yeah, yeah. But cool thing is, the Japanese voice actors, Yusaku Yada and Mami Koyama, are actually both the title character and the adorable little robot from Akira Toriyama's first famous work, Dr. Slump.
Oh, yeah.
So you got Dr. Slump is voiced by Gillian, and Arale is voiced by Metal Gear.
Huh.
And so it's kind of cool that, like, you know, the well-meaning goober and the adorable robot, you know, they've got that interconnectivity, which I think is kind of neat. I really like Lucy Childs' performance as Metal Gear, but I will say the Mami Koyama version of Metal Gear is really adorable.
How many secret areas do you think this factory has?
Oh, all of them. I don't know how the workers get in. I guess they climb up that pile of sticks on the right side and get in through the window.
I mean, that looks like a door right there.
Oh yeah, I guess it could be. Anyways, this is one of the famous bits of Snatcher, is that you need to help the absolute ace track down exactly one of the things he's meant to track down. So, I've encountered the thing that's my job to track down. I need backup. Every bit of backup. Send out. And it's an emergency. Could be very dangerous. So what you need to do to progress is to stand out here like a fucking lemon for as long as possible, and just twiddle your thumbs, really take in the atmosphere.
I mean, it's very atmospheric.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, seriously, no rush. Take it in.
Yeah.
Look at the factory again.
Look at it again? Alright.
Yeah, keep looking. That's, again, this is the meat and potatoes of this, is you need to keep on looking. Ah, that's a good sound.
What was that?
A mad scream. Perhaps something has happened to Jean-Jacques. Gillian, please use extreme caution. I read multiple moving objects within the factory. This could indicate the presence of Snatchers or Insectors.
Insectors? What in the world's that?
A spider-like robot used by Snatchers as security devices. Though compact in size, they are armed with needle guns. Use extreme caution.
Did I take too much time?
You can go in.
Out here? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I want to say, like, for 1994 Western voice acting, that was a really good scream. Wasn't a stock one.
Yeah.
Slightly unrelated question, Captain, but have you ever played Fallout 3?
I have.
Oh, goody. Something from Fallout 3 is about to make a bunch of sense.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, I only noticed it with that conversation, but you may notice that Gillian has a very similar vocal tip to other Kojima protagonists. That when something is said, his first response will be to say it back to them as a question.
Yeah.
These might have insectors.
It's kind of funny hearing this music in context. I haven't heard it in your stream so often.
I know, right? The thing that gets me is I'm hearing some of the tracks that are in this game. I'm like, hey, how come that's not on the soundtrack? Like it doesn't go to me. The blaster bits, the bit where you actually break out your weapon, is not on the soundtrack, and it's a kind of a banger of a track. But hey, you take what you can get.
I don't think that little jingle when I was in the turbo cycle was in the soundtrack.
No. There are some discrepancies. I mean, for all we know, it's one of these things where it's like Doom or whatever, where it's really close to an existing song, so they can't put everything in. It's not impossible. It wouldn't be beyond them. The name of the game, actually, originally was meant to be Junker, but there was a really popular Mahjong game that was called something like Junker, so it wasn't an option. So Snatcher it is.
I heard about a weird case of that once. I had this mech shooter tower defense hybrid thing on my 360 called it was originally called Trenched.
Right.
It's a Double Fine game, actually.
Oh, cool.
It got a Steam re-release later.
Nice.
But by that point, it had been renamed Iron Brigade.
Okay.
Because it turned out there was a legal dispute with I believe an English TV series called Trenched or something.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's Iron Brigade now. And
I've always,
they actually had to retitle the game at all levels, and I believe that actually caused difficulties.
Huh.
At a technical level, some things. I don't know. I forget what.
Yeah.
It's they changed the name of the app. They changed the registry and all that because of it. That usually doesn't happen. It has to happen.
No, exactly. Anyways, I'm really sorry. I gotta be right back. Just you keep on looking and exploring, and I'll catch up with you in just a second. Where's that?
Sorry about that, too. Takes you right away, really.
What the?
It's Little John.
Little John?
Yes, Jean-Jacques Gibson's personal navigator.
Almost sounds like a trip sound of a trip.
Now what's going on here? And oh, shit, Little John.
Yeah, he got fucked up.
Yeah, he did. See, there's one of these things where this hits a little differently now, because, again, in the Suda 5.1 Snatcher radio play, you actually get to know Little John.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you get to know Little John, and he's kind of interesting and kind of insightful, and he's voiced by Hideo Kojima himself.
Oh, fuck.
Just like pitched up and talking into a can.
A little while ago, Max asked if there was a subtitled version of it.
There is. I can put a link to it in the chat if you like, if I can find it.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. Try and make sure it doesn't have autoplay on.
Uh-oh.
Here's the thing. I think the cool thing is it all got gathered together into a website, and the subtitles are really accurate. They're extrapolating a little bit, but perfect. This is super good. It is literally just a website. Here's the cool thing. I'll go into this in a little bit. Sorry, I'm just clicking the link. I'll be right with you.
Yeah.
How do I get the... Yep, there's that. Get back to the chip. There we go.
Well, what do you think? Can you get this memory chip out of there in one piece?
I will attempt it. Now retrieving memory chip. Memory chip retrieved.
Yeah, right.
They've been really thorough on the Sudacha website. It's not just that they've translated things and extrapolated from pop culture instead of doing a direct translation. They've gone for like equivalence, which is really cool. It's also that for the accompanying images, they've changed the Snatcher's eye color, because in every Japanese version of the game, the Snatchers have red eyes. And then when they brought that to the West, they were like, okay, we are really close to getting sued by the Terminator people anyways. How about we change their eyes to green and put some, like, you know, camo-colored panels on them, and maybe, just maybe, they won't sue us back to the Stone Age. But they didn't do that for the Japanese versions. And so you can hear, if you know a little bit of Japanese, you can hear that in the subtitles they're talking about like a horrible red light, whereas the subtitles say a horrible green light, which is kind of a nice touch. And for all the accompanying artwork, they've changed the Snatcher's eye color as well. It's a nice little touch. And the dates as well, because again, in the Japanese version, the disaster happened in 1991, and all the subsequent dates are 5 years earlier, and they've changed that in the subtitles so it lines up with the Western release of Snatcher, as opposed to and so the Japanese version matches the Japanese version, and the Western version matches the Western version. Which, given that it's a fan translation, is just seriously, I can't thank them enough for this, because
the subtitle track for the play is a fan translation.
It is. It's just a really good one.
Oh,
Because, I mean, like, I can understand more Japanese than I can speak. Not that much. And, again, the voice cast is huge. Fucking, they got Jean-Jacques Gibson is being voiced by Akio Otsuka. It's motherfucking Snake. Japanese Snake. And he's done a bunch of other stuff as well. He's great. Now you're getting it. Drop down every list, drop down every second list. Listen, you smell something?
What was that?
think we actually have some untranslated Japanese graffiti, because the previous pillar just said, like, die punk or something.
Yeah, I see it now. I thought those were just scribbles for a second.
I see the word baka. I see baka and ya on the far right wall, so that's probably baka yaro.
Yeah.
That's the guess. I got some kaiko kanji. Maybe? Then we got shigo. I'm just gonna see if it says work is the poop.
Work sucks.
Yeah, possibly. Wait, is that she? Or is that a to? Ogo? It's really unclear. Oh. We found John, he seems fine, he's just having a rest. He's just chilling. He's fine. Oh, hey.
Fuck. Wow, that's really violent for a 90s monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, here's the interesting thing. Again, for the purposes of which version is where you're getting the most gore, this is it. This is easily the most violent version of this scene. In the PC-88 versions and the MSX versions, it's similar, except that Jean has his chest against the pillar, so he's like sort of slumped against the pillar with his head sort of behind him, if that makes sense. Like, you're seeing him from the back. But his head's still there, but his head's sort of like a weird cyan color. So you can't see like his neck stump, for example. And in the PC version, I forget. I could be wrong here. I feel like in the PC version, his head's not there at all. I probably have that wrong. But this is, from memory, this is the most violent version of this scene. Yeah. It caught a lot of people off guard, and they were like, holy shit, after Lethal Enforcers. Like, I don't know, maybe this console, maybe it's not for kids, you know?
Yeah,
maybe video games aren't just for kids. This was a factor in there.
Oh yeah, was this one of those watershed moments for that?
Lethal Enforcers definitely was.
Oh, well.
That was a start. Mortal Kombat was probably...
Lethal Enforcers is something goofy compared to this.
I know, that was the thing. This one didn't really register compared to the much more popular games of Mortal Kombat and Lethal Enforcers. This one sort of comparatively slipped under the radar, but for the Sega Saturn and PlayStation versions, this scene is much more heavily censored. Like, I think the body's still there, although it's facing backwards, and his head is like off in the distance. Implying that in that case they twisted it off and then punted it somewhere, I guess. But no, I know we're going back a bit. Huh? Had to go at some. He went down fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, after you watch the Snatcher...
Analysis complete. Results on the display. 1. Chromosomal analysis of cells from the papilla and root reveal 46XY. Subject is male. 2. Hair color, brown. Hair structure reading of 65 indicates European subject, wavy hair. 3. Attachment of root structure and thickness of the base of the strand suggest hair was pulled out of follicle. 4. Enzyme antibody analysis indicates subject is blood type A, Rh factor negative. 5. Cell component distribution indicates presence of artificial protein compounds. The results of the analysis strongly suggest that the strand of hair was pulled from the scalp of Jean's attacker during their struggle. This strand of hair almost certainly came from a male European, blood type A negative Snatcher.
Okay, so that's why Snatchers are such a threat. They have essentially DNA examples, so by most testing, except the most invasive, they would just always come across as human. They age, they sweat, presumably they skeet, I don't know, probably. They eat, they digest, they do everything. Like, and if you're just like cutting their finger or whatever.
Analysis complete. Results on the display. 1. Enzyme antibody analysis indicates subject is blood type O, Rh factor negative. Cell component distribution indicates presence of artificial protein compounds. 4. Number of melanocytes in sample indicates that subject is Caucasian. The results of the analysis strongly suggest that the tissue sample, a cluster of skin cells, was scraped from the subject during a struggle with Jean. These skin cells almost certainly came from a female European, blood type O negative snatcher.
So, not Snatcher, but Snatchers.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's not good.
no.
Put simply.
Clearly.
But no, we're going way back.
Evidence suggests
Do you
the situation is snafu.
Yes. That happened fast.
Oh,
Do you remember in Fallout 3, the town called Minefield?
oh God.
There's like, it's like an abandoned town except for an old man voiced by Paul Lighting, which is like Perceptor and the Colonel. Taking pot shots at you with his sniper rifle, and so he's shooting at you, but he's also shooting the mines around you.
I don't know if I found that or not.
It was strictly optional, but
Yeah.
here's the thing that blew my mind back in the day. There's a house in that town where you find a corpse in a suit like that, with the blood slammed up against the wall and its head between its legs. And it's registered as Gibson's corpse.
Oh.
And there's a note on his body that says search the house, which the solution to that puzzle in Fallout is the same as the solution to the puzzle in Snatcher. It is a direct Snatcher reference in Fallout 3, which, because I knew Snatcher first, I was like, not quite hyperventilating, but I was like frozen. Like, I didn't expect a Snatcher reference in a Fallout game. It caught me really off guard. Like, no, it's gotta be a coincidence, right? It's crazy.
That's pretty left field.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you expect the Lord of the Rings from Dune reference.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I expect reference to all sorts of things, but Snatcher was not one of them. But hey, you know, good on them. I salute them, because that made my fucking day. Finding, like, the Gibson corpse in Fallout 3 blew my fucking mind. And, you know, if you figure out the solution in Fallout 3, then hey, you got it in this one as well. But I admit that wasn't yesterday. I wasn't still in school, but I wasn't that far out of it.
Jean's stomach reveals a major lesion on the caloric region of the gastric membrane.
So, Jean had an ulcer, huh?
Yes. In addition, I read a substantial quantity of partially digested organic compounds.
Organic compounds. If you can determine the composition
Sorry.
of the
Once you notice it.
digested, we may be able to figure out where Jean's been.
It's like, you can't take a drink for every Kojima reference, because then, like, every time Metal Gear says something and Gillian immediately repeats it, you have to take a drink.
Now making incision in Jean's stomach to analyze organic compounds present.
Also, I'm not sure why Gibson had an ulcer. It's not like he has a stressful job. Fuck.
Analysis complete. Results on the display.
That man needs to take some
Analysis
Tums.
indicate the organic compounds are primarily composed proteins that have been exposed to digestive acids for approximately 3 hours. Amino acid structure of the protein suggests the meat is that of a buffalo.
Buffalo meat?
Yes, buffalo meat. The results indicate that Jean ate buffalo meat somewhere about 3 hours before he was killed.
You ever had buffalo, Captain?
I've had buffalo burgers.
Yeah, well, yeah, close enough.
But, I mean, I had a fuck burgers, but
Yeah. Buffalo is some good shit.
good.
Yeah, right up there with some of my favorites, I gotta be honest. Buffalo and bison is slightly different. I would take buffalo over. But unsurprisingly, in the original Japanese version, what he'd actually been eating was whale.
Oh,
Yeah. Now, in both versions, they are protected, and you're not meant to be eating them, which is an important giveaway, I guess. It's alright. From an Australian point of view, buffalo being endangered and protected is a weird thought, because here they're a pest.
I'm reading movement.
A couple of Monkey Island characters are to blame.
To confirm, I suggest we investigate.
shit's getting good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
just gonna do what I usually do and then save each slot sequence that I have.
I think that's probably the way to go. But no, I mean, I guess, like, if there's meant to be a global catastrophe, it kind of makes sense. I guess especially in Japan, where people wouldn't be eating buffalo, like, all the time, and they would be protected.
Mm.
But I mean, like, honestly, real talk, it's fairly advanced, even in the late 80s, for someone in Japan to make a game where it's like, oh yeah, it can't be eaten whale.
Would we have been able to go into the building sooner and
No. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, it's the illusion of choice. Like, there's no getting around this. You basically have to stand there and go, huh, nice building. Well, it looks a little old, and wait for the screen.
So the game is actually pretty linear?
It can be, yes.
Okay.
There's a few major choices, but it's more... You can think of it more like an escape the room game, where it does have a solution, but it's more or less one set path, and the trick is finding the path, not choosing the path.
Okay.
It's one of the things that doesn't make it hold up that well, but I mean, if you tightened it up a little bit, I think it's a format that would probably survive the... Like, even if it was made now, for the same reasons it's a cult classic, is because it's got a bit of style. It's got a good aesthetic and, especially for the time, above average sound design and voice acting.
No, the Snow 9, right?
Yep. Now, this is a thing... This is a thing that you have to actually do in-game. You do actually have to turn up your in-game volume to hear something.
I do hear it, though.
Okay, well, that's probably loud enough.
Sounds like a fucking bomb.
That could be anything. Lots of things sound like bombs. Uh-huh. I can't hear it. If you can hear it, that's the thing that matters. Oh, I hear a beeping sound. Let's look closer.
Whoa! Time bomb! Evacuate immediately! There is no time!
Yeah, and the original graphic for that, Gillian's face actually goes like full, like, whoa, huge eyes, gigantic fucking...
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, what slot was it? 4 was
You
next?
saved in 3 last time, so you're good to
Okay.
go on 4.
I think I backed out of it.
Little John confused me for a while because I wasn't looking at the right thing. The laser hole that's burned into him, I thought was actually like part of him.
Oh, fuck.
Shooting time. Yeah, you got a lot of practice.
least it's like a grid. I thought I was actually gonna have to like aim with this.
Oh no. Well,
I'm just using a
there's
PS4 controller.
with the Konami Justifier light gun and the Lethal Enforcers one. I think there was more aiming, but for the most part, it's set up to be used with a controller. So
Right. Wow, these little bastards.
yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Getting out of here!
Sorry, I cannot go with you.
What's wrong with you? Hurry it up!
I am incapable of locomotion.
What on earth are you blabbering about? Let's go! It's gonna blow!
Please save yourself. I am paralyzed with fear.
Oh, I can't believe this stupid robot! Come on!
That's a good feature for a robot to have.
Jeez, my ears are really ringing.
That's because you left the volume turned up.
Damn snatchers.
There is no need for concern. I have stored all the information about the evidence and the area in my memory. We should return to Junker headquarters.
So yeah, even back then, I can't give him enough credit. Even back then, Kojima was trying really hard to fuck with the audience as best as he could. Like, you can't really do the interface screw thing properly, but he put in a little feature where he deliberately made all the sounds quieter and said, oh, you should turn it up, and then deliberately played a really loud noise to fuck with people.
We've entered the lobby.
Gillian, I heard about Jean.
I'm sorry. I wish I could have done more.
You performed your duties quite satisfactorily.
That's right. It's not your fault, Gillian. Don't worry about it. By the way, the chief is waiting for you.
This is the chief's office.
Well, Seed, that was a pretty rough first assignment to draw. You made a great effort, though. I've studied the data transmitted back by Metal Gear, so I know all about what happened out there. It's too bad about Gibson. He was a great junker. Seed, I need you to take over for him. You're the only one I've got left who can battle this Snatcher menace.
I think we probably could have kept the sad music going a little bit longer. It's a minor point, but in the Japanese version, the chief is voiced by the late great Goro Naya, I think his name is. I can't remember. The point is, he's like the definitive Detective Zenigata in the Lupin films and whatnot.
Okay.
So again, a very different sort of a voice, but one that still works very well. I like that he's got this super advanced glass for one of his windows, and then he has like old-timey detective slot blinds.
Yeah.
For his other one. It's again in contrast with, you know, all of his technology, where he seems to be playing Dwarf Fortress on that big monitor on his right wall.
Either that or he's looking at the automat.
Oh god, he might be, eh? What is that? Is that Computer Lab? I think it's Computer Lab.
Hey, it's myself. Self-adjusting soap.
Oh Jesus. There's a Doctor Who episode where someone, bless the actor they're trying, has to get killed by an inflatable chair.
Oh.
Yeah. The idea is that the inflatable chair is actually like an alien, like it's like a living plastic that is like crushing them to death, and the actors doing their best as what is essentially them just sitting in an inflatable chair as it deflates, and they're having like pull the chair around themselves like they're getting crushed by it and go, oh, And 1970s Doctor Who was a trip. But, you know, bless that actor, they gave it their all.
Admittedly, I have not seen that much older Doctor Who stuff, but I'm an enormous fan of Tom Baker.
Oh, God. Yeah. Tom Baker's stuff is good shit. My personal favorite is the one right before him, John Pertwee.
Pertwee, okay.
Yeah.
John Pertwee, father of Sean Pertwee.
Yeah. Who looks exactly like his dad.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Just a bit. Sean Pertwee, again, tying us back into Warhammer, because that's the first acting role I heard of him, is he was in, like,
is he in the Ultramarines movie?
He was in the Ultramarines movie, yeah, but I feel like he was also in Fire Warrior. I know Tom Baker did the narration for Fire Warrior, but I think Sean Pertwee was in it as well.
Tom Baker narrated Fire Warrior?
I'm pretty sure.
Holy shit, maybe I need to actually play it.
Yeah, maybe, if nothing else. Look, the main thing I remember about Fire Warrior is that when you're playing from the tower's perspective, someone running at you with a chainsaw is actually super scary.
Yes.
Like, it's a goofy sort of weapon. It's like, oh god, this is terrifying.
Yeah,
it's like a horror film.
Ew. Fight down, fuckers.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is one of my favorite comics, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, honestly, like, God bless you in the scattered shots and all that. I love your background stuff, but I also really love your handling of Fuklaw.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, yeah. He's really fun to draw. He's got like a really gnarly face.
It's like when you really want to get into drawing a lot of like anger popping things.
Oh yeah. Like really like craggy faces are actually a huge amount of fun.
Ugh.
One male and one female Snatcher were involved in killing him. What was he after? Wait, hang on. We've just established that the Chief got a bunch of data from Metal Gear from your little investigation, but... Oh, right, yeah, you need Little John. You got Little John's information.
Yeah,
that wasn't transferred.
Okay.
I guess you gotta get it from Harry, I think?
Look at the chat, right?
Yeah.
What's up? Oh. Excuse me for just a minute. There's food.
No worries.
We'll be right back.
All good. Let's see, is there anything else I can mention during this? I guess, yeah, the thing I was saying earlier about Sega, how it would be pronounced Sarvis Games, and so if you abbreviated that, it would be Sa-Ge. And for any of you who have been like used any of the 2chan or 4chan message board formats, for what it's worth, that's what when people say they're going to sage something to lower it, it's not saging something, it's Sa-Ge. Because Age is raised and Sage is lower. So, I mean, not just that it would be spelled incorrectly, but like if you were to pronounce it the way it is, those words are pronounced through a Japanese-English filter, it wouldn't be a name you would ever call a company. It'd be like calling your game company Plummet. So it stands for one thing, and then they use the English characters, like the first two letters of service and the first two letters of games, and they just sort of repronounce it. So I mean, no one can completely agree on it. I guess we'll just say Sega these days. Sega? Sega. So I think Sega's pretty close. But yeah, everyone in Australia, to a certain point, would pronounce it Sega, because that's just what they said. It didn't matter that they said it the correct way at the start of each game. The adverts would always talk about, like, you know, the Sega Game Gear, or the Sega Master System. It's not our fault, we didn't know. This game was originally meant to be 5X, turns out. And you get like little hints of that. Like in your Junker Gear, they talk about like the long-term effects of doing something and how it can ultimately like affect your performance and how it affects your organs. So I mean, like the game was meant to be 5 acts. They eventually released the third one, but for its initial release, they cut it back to 2. Which, I mean, while it's not doing me any harm to like rant at this exact moment, I want to say that even though it's only recently that they've truly fucked up, like if you Konami, in my opinion, have shown now a track record of being a little bit low on vision. That's just me being bitter, I guess, because I mean, like, I'm still pissed about Silent Hills. Like Silent Hills, it was, to my mind, one of the most promising looking horror games in forever. And it's not just that they cancelled it, but it's also like it was the final straw for Guillermo del Toro ever working on video games. He's just said he's bad luck. He's never ever going to work on video games in a creative capacity again. And that's a fucking tragedy. Like, Konami broke him. And, I mean, they've still got all these IPs, but they're just using them for pachinko these days. So there's, like, versions of Snake Eater, so you get to see all the cutscenes with, like, all new advanced graphics, but, like, only if you're playing pachinko. And I realize that, you know, a gambling device is only as, you know, dangerous and as debilitating as society makes it. But, you know, their lack of restrictions means that they're aware of how damaging they are. I mean, I don't know what it's like in most countries, but in Japan and Australia, like, casual gambling is a massive problem. More so than a lot of other things that they would like to address, but it's also sufficiently profitable and sufficiently the people who run it kick up enough to those who can make the laws so it stays in place. So I mean, I don't think gambling is in of itself bad. I've enjoyed it occasionally myself, but the way it's used is bad.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Good.
With Chili Man.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
We got like about another 10-15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yep. So we're good. We can about Gibson, about Katrina. Should we talk to Harry? I'm sure he's doing fine. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, God.
Jean has a daughter.
God.
Yeah. And northern suburbs. That's funny. I don't know what that means in Kobe. In my hometown, northern suburbs means you live in the shit place. So, I'm assuming that's not the case here, because Gibson's house is quite nice. I live in the northern suburbs. You can literally drive across a set of train tracks and the suburb gets actively worse.
Damn.
Yeah. And no, yeah, Gibson's got a daughter.
Fuck.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I should probably pay her a visit at some point. Oh, hey. Harry's just hanging in there.
Well, so our new junker has returned.
I register high alcohol levels. Harry is intoxicated.
I really thought you were better than that.
Harry,
What kind of backup was that supposed to be? If you were a better junker than that, Jean wouldn't have had to die out there.
Harry, that statement is incorrect.
Don't worry about it, Metal. Harry's right.
Jean... Sorry, it's not your fault.
Metal, would you give Harry the memory chip we pulled out of Little John?
Of course. Harry, this is Little John's memory chip.
Jesus Christ. Okay, look, props to him. Harry's no lightweight.
Oh shit!
He's just straight up chugging brandy.
I think
I'm a bit.
I think this is a reference to the Dirty Pair movie.
No, wait, really?
Yeah. The MacGuffin of that movie was like the last bottle of Napoleon brandy.
Holy shit!
At least I think it's brandy, but no, it was definitely Napoleon something.
No, it's definitely brandy. It's not like it's unpopular here, but Japan loves Napoleon brand brandy. So it's like interwoven through a lot of pop culture, and I'm gonna say, based on the timing, I'm gonna say it's probably used because of Dirty Pair.
Yeah.
It's a real possibility. And hey, for what it's worth, it's good brandy.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a bit of a lightweight compared to the rest of the people.
Oh, I mean, even I've only chugged brandy from the bottle a couple of times.
Let's see.
There's no messing around, though.
Third Pair movie was November of '86.
Yeah, it checks out then. 2 years after this, because this puzzle has always been in there. Puzzle? I didn't say puzzle. Ignore the red text.
It's just pay no attention to the Lex behind it.
Yes.
It's just like your fucking like animate spectacle is like poking out.
Pretty much. No, he's not. He doesn't even have like. He doesn't have. You can see he's not got any mixers with him. Doesn't even have a glass full of ice.
No, he's just chugging brandy.
He's just. Yep. He is wasting no time.
Synthahol.
Yeah,
he's been hitting that drinkahol.
Yeah. Synthahol, because in the future it's impossible to make alcohol. Literally one of the easiest things in the world to make.
Hey, don't touch me. Don't touch me, motherfucker.
Again, it's one of those things where it's really minor, but they just had the translation notes. In the original Japanese version, when Harry is telling off Gillian, he says, "I really thought you were better than that." Like, the translation notes is just, Gillian's just saying Harry back to him, but the inflection's very different. He just basically goes, like, Harry. Like, he's just like addressing him. Whereas in this version, he goes like, Harry! At him, like, he's almost like, he's kind of pissed. Like, he doesn't want to be told off. That happens a few times. Ha ha ha! Get your notepad ready. Look, I can write it down. I'll be around for the next session, so...
It's fine. I can crack open a little bit like that.
Yeah. Hey, look, at least it's not on one of your discs.
Yeah, right? Back in the damn tool case.
Yes! Hey, yeah, he had to find other ways around it. So, I mean, I guess the implication is that whoever's keeping notes does it every time Harry buys a new bottle of brandy, which I'm going to say is on average once every 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, you've got what you need, and now he's done talking.
I don't know.
It's not a thing to focus on, but for what it's worth, that's a really Japanese-looking key.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know, maybe they look different in other countries, but, like, keys here, they don't tend to be quite that big, quite that square, and they don't generally have ridges on both sides, whereas my house key in Japan looked pretty much like that.
Yeah, ours don't have bridges on both sides.
Yeah.
Either. And the head of ours are typically not square. A lot of mine are either ovular or like a sort of intricate, like door panel shape.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like almost like a mountain plaque or something.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, we got a lot of ones that are sort of shaped a bit like a clubs, like the club symbol in like a deck of cards. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the key to his desk.
They make you do this. Another thing that has not aged it well from the gameplay from the PC-88 system is the player going, I know what to do next, let me do it! And then you can't do it until the game decides you can. So you get occasional moments to feel clever because you figured something out, but it doesn't matter until the game has decided you have figured it out. And then spells it out for you, and then you can do it.
I mean, that's one side of it, obviously, but on the other side, this is entirely novel to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
This type of gameplay, so it's like, oh.
No, I can dig that.
Like, the fact that it's a little handholdy does not bother me. Like,
No,
I appreciate that it's not like, the kind of like, the fork is in the slice and takes the airline.
Yes.
Or whatever the fuck. Moon logic puzzles. Hey!
A disc.
It's a floppy.
Yeah, it looks like one of the actual 8 1/4.
Yeah, they're really actually floppy floppies.
Yeah.
See, when
I use those.
See, those are actually a little before my time.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, we had already moved on to the 3.5-inch hard ones.
Well, the computer I was using, in all fairness, had a drive for both. I was very, very young. I used some that were just the 8 1/4. That not much, and I was a very little kid. For the most part, I used one that had like 2 drives. When I was first playing that vector-based Star Wars game, where it's pretty much just shoot the TIE fighters, then go into the trench, and it's like green, red, and yellow. I was playing that on an 8 1/4 floppy.
Rex says he lost the stream at some point.
Oh, shit.
I'm not saying...
Oh, it's a good thing we're...
on my end, Twitch says the stream's okay. OBS says the stream's okay.
It seems to be going okay. I'm
says
checking both, but...
It says I dropped 0.5% frames to 1.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're recording it anyway, so...
I mean, technically I'm just streaming it.
Yeah. That's all good.
I'm not also keeping hard recording.
No worries.
I don't know, maybe I should. But that's a lot of disk drive space.
It is. Well, I mean, you'd want to trim it down anyways. But hey, good stream.
Yeah. Are we at the time limit here?
Yeah, just about. if there's any like revelations, but I think the disc you probably can't use here. See if you can call that number, and we might finish off on that.
Number on the branding.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Pardon me.
Oh, good. Guess don't worry about the hyphen. I don't know how this goes.
Who the hell are you?
I'm an acquaintance of Gibson. I need some information.
You an investigator too, huh? Can't trust them. All right, let's have the password.
The password?
I would guess the 100-day war, but I admit I've forgotten. Oops. Yeah. Oh, look, I think if you get it wrong, he just hangs up and you have to try again.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't know if there's a timeline on that, so
least
saving
that's-
is probably wise.
At least that's how I hope that works.
Yeah. Oops. Here's the thing, he'll ask you a different thing each time. That's okay. If you look up Napoleon, like the actual historical Napoleon, on the Jordan, you'll get a bunch of information about him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it's a little esoteric, but like then I'm not sure. I think they'll even highlight in red saying, "Oh yes, it was called the 100-day victory," or whatever the actual answer is. But there's like one that's a year, one that's the 100-day something or other, and whatchamacallit. So yes, if you know Akira, you'll realize that character design is basically copied verbatim from one of the Akira characters.
Oh.
There's a character called Nezu in both the Akira comic and the Akira film, which is literally looks like that. I think maybe his hair's a little shorter, but yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Anyways, this isn't a bad place to cap off. You're alright with picking this up again sometime?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm into it.
Cool. This investigation will gather steam. I think. You'll see.
It was fun talking to you. We should do this.
Nah, for real, that was solid.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else enjoyed it.
I hope so. It seems we lost a few people along the way.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a big stream.
Biggest I've ever done, anyway.
Alright, so I will see you next time. And I look
All right.
forward to doing more of this.
Yeah.
I'll figure out when the right time will be.
Excellent.
Good luck with your investigations in the future.
Yeah, cheers.
Catch you.
Yeah. Alone night you find me, I guess.